4 feet 11 inches tall, about 90 pounds, with brown eyes and black hair. Last night, the Blackhawks beat the Rangers 5-3. Rookie sensation Artemi Panarin scored his first hat trick, and they will visit the White House with the Stanley Cup later today. At Carneseca Arena, St. John's over DePaul, 80-65. Red Storm winning for the first time since December 13. Illinois State topped Indiana State. Loyola beat Northern Iowa by 3. Oklahoma, number 3 in the land, lost to Texas Tech. Number 4, Iowa, stunned by Penn State last night. And Duke took down number 5, North Carolina. But how about this? Number 1, Villanova, behind 25. You may remember this guy. Great baller. Stevenson, All-Stater, Jalen Brunson. 25 last night as number 1 Villanova stays on top with a win over Temple. The news, a service of Aurora University Online Learning. Pursue your passion with a degree from Aurora University Online. Choose from fully online programs in accounting, business, education, criminal justice, general studies, integrated communication, nursing, and social work. To learn more, visit online.aurora.edu. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Each year, the month of March is all about the madness.
He's a whack job. He's a wacko.
This year, as the number of candidates dwindles and the delegate count climbs, the remaining candidates will meet for one final debate. On March 10th, and AM 560 is hosting the final debate watch party of the primary season. On Thursday, March 10th at Austin's Fuel Room in Libertyville. Tickets are just $25 and include an all-you-can-eat buffet. Visit 560theanswer.com/March. That's 560theanswer.com/March. Sponsored in part by DS Arms.
America has a serious narcotics problem. 90% of the world's narcotics are taken by Americans. They have a place, but when you're dealing with chronic pain, pain that doesn't go away or which frequently returns, there is a better way. You're masking the pain. We help you find and deal with the source of the chronic pain to get real relief. This is Ken Candido of Chicago Anesthesia Pain Specialists. We're serious players in pain. Our team are national leaders and we're educators in the treatment of pain. We will work with you to diminish or eliminate your pain and help you get your life back. Contact us. We will help you. You don't have to live with chronic pain. We treat all pain. We don't mask it with painkillers and narcotics that are not good for you and which can be addictive. I have a simple message for you. If you or someone you love or someone you know has chronic pain, contact us. Treating chronic pain issues is what we do. We can make it better. Get an appointment and let's talk. MyPainChicago.com, MyPainChicago.com. All the info is available at MyPainChicago.com. Let's make you pain-free.
5:06, let's get an update on the roads in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center. The latest this morning with Jim Talamonte. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Mike. Bishop Ford Freeway outbound. The ramp to eastbound 8094 remains closed. There's a crash involving a rollover semi. On the Ryan, there's outbound road work from Garfield to 63rd. 3 left lanes are closed in the locals, plus the right express lane till 6. Traffic volume is light. The entrance from 59th is closed as well. Eastbound Adams Tollway at Beverly, there's a stall blocking the right lane. Elsewhere, the expressways and tollways look good. Starting this morning at 6, westbound Dundee and Northbrook will close. The Oakleaf Terrace and Waukegan Road, that's until the afternoon rush for some water main repairs. Traffic is a service of TCF Bank. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answers starts next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. AirComfort.com, 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
High winds with gusts past 50 miles per hour this morning into tomorrow afternoon and will be locally damaging. Cloudy and windy today, tonight, high 39 and a low 37. Winds gusting past 50 miles per hour tomorrow with some sun, high of 57. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
24 and cloudy at O'Hare, 26 along the lakefront. Your next news update is at 5:30. Continuous news coverage at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Ayn Rand Institute and the Yaron Brook Show. Heard Saturday afternoons at 4 here on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy.
Oh, yeah? Do you want to start off the show singing, kind of like how they ended the CNN town hall last night?
I've been told by our listeners not to sing anymore.
Why? Well, you know who you sing better than? You're a better singer than Senator Ted Cruz. So one thing he wasn't lying about, since everyone likes to throw out the L word, is that he's not a good singer. And last night, they asked him a song that he sings, and he sang this sweet little lullaby, or tried to, for his wife, Heidi. And the crowd was like, ooh, and they were just really nice and kind of clapped for him. But he said, look, I can't sing, but I'll try.
A little sharp.
Yeah, and Marco Rubio, my guy Marco, who I'm loving right now, guess what he likes? West Coast rap. Mm-hmm. Not East Coast, West Coast.
EMD.
Yeah, and then he said he likes this electronic music now where they take...
That's EMD.
That's EMD. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you, Dan.
Oh,
where you take some
electronic
country music and
yeah.
some EMD and mix it together. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there were dueling town halls yesterday, and we'll get to who helped themselves the most from their town hall. I suggest it's not the guy who took a neutral position on Israel, but that's me. Other people may disagree. We'll get to that, but I want to start with the Supreme Court matter because you remember a week ago yesterday when President Obama was in town, Amy? He spoke to the Illinois General Assembly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, lovely.
He called out your guy Duncan, too.
He said, and I'm quoting him, "One of my few regrets is my inability to reduce the polarization and meanness in our politics." Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Remember that great moment where we all came together as a nation to attaboy President Obama, a better kind of politics, more civil discourse, respect for people who disagree with you.
Yeah.
Right.
Being nice.
That's the same President Obama who's skipping Scalia's funeral on Saturday.
Well,
What do you think about that?
312-642-5600. Now, Dan, were you really surprised when you heard he's not going to attend his funeral?
A little bit, actually, because it's such a the obviously proper thing to do for the President of the United States and a sitting Supreme Court justice, any Supreme Court justice, frankly, much less a seminal one like Scalia. Let me ask you this question. Think about it the other way. If President... If it was
Elena Kagan or
No,
Sonia Sotomayor, would he have been there? Yes.
No, that's not the way. If Thurgood Marshall, if a Republican president had not attended the funeral of Thurgood Marshall, do you think that would draw any response from the left? Do you think people would say that is a classless act?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
They would, but...
Okay. I mean, I'm just trying to...
He is
I'm
going when
I'm always trying to figure out where the standard is because I know... And we've talked about this with just the whole nomination and filling the vacancy. You know, the standard is when we're in power, we get to do whatever we want. So don't hold me accountable for what we said about the Bork nomination or what we said about a Republican president and a Democrat Senate in 1987, New York Times. Or don't hold me accountable for what I did and said when I was a sitting U.S. Senator, President Obama. Because now that the power is, the distribution of power is different, well, my opinions are completely different. What is proper is completely different because I am without principle. It is just the naked pursuit of power. And I appreciate that because it's a clarifying moment.
Well, Michelle and President Obama are going to go to the wake on Friday. And they're sending Vice President Joe Biden and Jill Biden to the funeral on Saturday, which is apropos because Jill and Joe Biden are Catholic and President Obama and Michelle aren't Catholic. And those Catholic funerals can be really long, Dan. And then you have to stand up, sit down. It's like you're doing the wave. Stand up, sit down. It would have been too much on Obama's knees to just, go through that at a Catholic mass. I mean, this shouldn't be as a surprise to anybody, but he's not a religious man. So he's probably got a golf game to attend or some fundraiser to attend, or maybe he's got to go on the Ellen show again. I mean, who knows? But he's not going on Saturday. And the White House was very tight-lipped on what he's doing Saturday, as opposed to not going to the funeral. And he better have a good reason.
Well, first of all, this has nothing to do with faith. This is about a president of the United States and a Supreme Court justice who passed away. That's what this is about.
Has there ever been a time, because you would know, when a president has not gone to a Supreme Court justice's funeral?
I mean, in the annals of the nation's history, I don't know. Nothing jumps to mind offhand. I mean, Thurgood Marshall, just to follow that example,
Yeah.
he passed away in 1993, so Bill Clinton was president. But had he passed away a year earlier when President George Herbert Walker Bush was president, do you think Herbert Walker Bush would have attended Thurgood Marshall's funeral? Do you think there would have been a response had he not? 312-642-5600. Take your reactions to that, number one. And with respect to President Obama's faith, having to sit through a Catholic Mass, President Obama says he's Christian, number one. He says his faith is important to him, so I take him at his word. Number two, President Obama makes the time to do all kinds of other interfaith events, like speaking at a mosque in Baltimore with ties to radical Islamic terror. But he can't sit through a Catholic Mass for Justice Scalia? Well, I don't know.
I really cannot wait to find out what he is doing on Saturday that is so pressing that it's taking him away from Anton Scalia's funeral. I mean, what could it be? Does he? Oh wait, maybe he has to pick out his brackets for March Madness.
No, right. He's got to.
There you go.
He's got to. Well, I don't think the brackets are announced.
Maybe he's
by Saturday.
deciding what school his daughter should go to. Maybe they're going through some colleges. Maybe he's on a college recruiting trip with her.
He's got a lot of
this
things.
weekend.
He's got a lot of balls in the air. There's no question about it. I get it. It's a hard job. He said so.
I mean, it's
That's
bad.
how I know.
It's really it says a lot about him, not as a president, but as a man, but also him coming off of the speech that he gave in Springfield about unity and all. It's just another notch against him.
Would you say it is fair to say that he is like school during a fire drill?
No class.
Yeah, man. All right, man. Josh Earnest, he trotted out his spokes being there, Josh Earnest, yesterday to answer the question on another related matter with respect to this Scalia vacancy. The related matter being President Obama joining a filibuster of Judge Alito's nomination to the Supreme Court by George W. Bush, and not to mention voting against him. And he also voted against Roberts, too. I mean, but, you can say, well, he got an up or down vote. Okay. But if the filibuster was designed to prevent a vote, Josh Earnest trying to walk that back in for President Obama, who, again, is without mistake. He, very much like Donald Trump, he would apologize if there was ever anything that he did wrong that demanded an apology. So because it's politically convenient for him to pretend like a past act is now something he sort of regrets, he trotted out somebody else to say it.
As the president alluded to yesterday, he regrets the vote that he made because, frankly, I mean, as we've discussed, Democrats should have been in a position where they were making a public case. That's what Democrats should have done, and they shouldn't have looked for a way to just throw sand in the gears of the process. And frankly, looking back on it, the president believes that he should have just followed his own advice.
So, he made a boo-boo. All sins are forgotten, and because he's admitted through a flack that he made a mistake, he did wrong. Bad senator. That he now the Republicans shouldn't follow the bad example that President Obama set when he joined the filibuster of the Alito nomination, despite the fact that a lot of his former colleagues in the Senate, Democrats, are not apologizing. Chuck Schumer, Harry Reid, the like. And the Senate should move forward and with whoever he nominates and give them that up or down vote, preferably the up vote.
But back to Obama not attending the funeral. I mean, really, what the sad thing is, it's a distraction from a great man who left behind a great legacy. I mean, do you think Scalia would even want him to be at his funeral?
I think Scalia would be indifferent because I think he has a sense of proportion. And I think what politicians do or don't do was of, frankly, little import to Scalia because he kept them in their proper place, not the reverential place, but a recognition that politicians, even Supreme Court justices, are not our betters. They are our representatives in different ways, but they're just our temporary representatives. Scalia had a deep and abiding faith, so he understands this. He wouldn't, I don't think, bother about it very much at all, and we're not going to bother
at
all.
Family, do you think they care?
This is not about Scalia. Scalia is separate and distinct. This is not a distraction. All it is a confirmation about who President Obama is. So, and it should be distributed because it runs contrary to all of the wonderful high-minded rhetoric he so readily spews. Now, on the other side, we had some very low-minded rhetoric coming from Hillary Clinton, who, of course, as she is facing an existential threat now from Bernie Sanders, such an incredible development, she has to go full race hustler. Here's her response to what Republicans are or are not doing about this vacancy in the high court.
Now, the Republicans say they'll reject anyone President Obama nominates, no matter how qualified. Some are even saying he doesn't have the right to nominate anyone, as if somehow he's not the real president. You know, that's in keeping what we've heard all along, isn't it? Many Republicans talk in coded racial language about takers and losers. They demonize President Obama and encourage the ugliest impulses of the paranoid fringe. This kind of hatred and bigotry has no place in our politics or our country.
It's a bit difficult to figure out who is a more despicable, unprincipled hack, President Obama or Hillary Clinton. It's very, very close. Of course, no Republican is suggesting the president doesn't have the authority. It's not a right, you constitutional nitwit. No one is disputing that he has the authority to put forward a nominee. No one's disputing that.
No.
But to suggest because Republicans are doing what Democrats have done previously, because this turns out to be a political matter, as every Supreme Court nomination is,
yes.
That this is, dog whistles and coded language, and it's because he's black is so disgusting and so pathetic. And gosh, I hope someday a majority of African-American voters that are aligned with the Clintons or have been for the last 20 years, aligned with the Democratic Party, wake up and are properly insulted by the cynical Machiavellian appeals of the likes of a Hillary Clinton.
Did you see her yesterday in Bronzeville? She was surrounded by African-American women. She walked on stage hand in hand with Sandra Bland's mother. Ada Pendleton's mother was there. Blair Halt's mother was there. I mean, everybody was there surrounding her and just singing her praises.
I want our children and our grandchildren to grow up with the same hopes and dreams that many of us grew up with.
Yeah, well, okay, so for all the women that were there, sans Hillary Clinton, how is big Democrat management of our big urban centers going? Is that what's happening?
Did you any chance, do you own a drone? Because somebody
I don't
was
own
flying a drone at the entrance to the Parkway Ballroom, so they had to delay her press conference. And I thought, maybe Dan has a drone.
I have better things to do than worry about Hillary Clinton's whereabouts.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Today, we're going to have a cloudy start to your day, and it's going to be increasingly windy. A high, though, of 39 degrees, maybe 40 out in the surrounding suburbs, so that's good. And then tomorrow, wow, very windy, warmer with clouds breaking for some sun and some winds. Some are so strong there could be some damage, and a high near 60 degrees, unseasonably warm for this time of year. How is it on the roadways? Here's Jim Telemonte.
Good morning, Amy. Good morning, Dan. Bishop Ford Freeway outbound. It's stop and go from 115th to 8094. The ramp from the outbound Bishop Ford to eastbound 8094 is blocked right now with a rollover semi-crash. Inbound Bishop Ford is just a little heavy approaching the Rhine, about a 1-minute delay starting at Cottage Grove. Inbound Ryan starting to get congested approaching downtown. There's road work on the outbound Rye, Garfield 63rd, no delays to report there. Starting at 6 this morning in Northbrook, westbound Dundee Road will close from Oakleaf Terrace to Waukegan Road for water main repairs, and that is scheduled until this afternoon's rush. Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
So you've heard us talking about it for weeks. Our Escape to Cabo trip to the Secrets Puerto Los Cabos Golf and Spa Resort, April 2nd through April 9th, Saturday to Saturday, presented by Dermatology and Plastic Surgery Associates and by Artistic Dentistry. Now, the exclusive Apple Vacations price has expired, but there's still limited availability. So if you want to join us in Cabo, do it today. We're staying at the Secrets Puerto Los Cabos Golf and Spa Resort, which I just mentioned. It's an adults-only, all-inclusive, all-suites resort. It's just a gorgeous place. Award-winning chefs are in charge of the 8 restaurants, and there's 4 bars, including a cigar bar. 24-hour-a-day room service if you want to stay inside. And if you want to swim, the resort has 2 sparkling pools and 3 miles of pristine, clean, beautiful beaches. And if you're a golfer, adjacent to the resort, 2 9-hole golf courses designed by Jack Nicklaus and Greg Norman. So book your trip today. Visit 560theanswer.com, keyword escape. That's 560theanswer.com, keyword escape.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. You know, nothing frustrates me more than liberal hypocrisy. Take our food, for example. You know, the left claims to care about the poor and the environment, but guess what? They're waging a silent war against America's farmers that is making our food supply more costly and less sustainable. America's family farmers are producing more food using less land and fewer resources than ever before. Now, they should be cheered, but instead, radical groups are working with government bureaucrats to crack down on our farmers and limit the tools and technology that they're allowed to use. Now, the result is higher food costs for you, the American consumer, and low-income families, they're hit the hardest. Now, thankfully, someone is fighting back. Protect the Harvest is a national coalition working to defend modern American agriculture. You can check them out at protecttheharvest.com and follow them on Facebook to get the very latest news and see how you can help. Don't let radical activists control your family's food choices. Visit protecttheharvest.com today.
My name is David Hochberg, and I'm Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. That's right, I'm now Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, give me a call. I'm the same guy that's provided listeners with honest advice and outstanding customer service for the past 13 years. The only thing that's changed is where I work. When you needed help refinancing after the Big Corner Bank messed up your loan, even though you've heard thousands of my ads telling you not to waste your time at the Big Corner Bank, you called me and I helped you. If you would like to talk to me about a mortgage, please give me a call at 312-751-1333. That's 312-751-1333. Email me at david@pearldavid.com. That's david@PERLDavid.com. Or visit my website, am560david.com. 312-751-1333. Pearl Mortgage is an equal housing lender, Illinois residential mortgage licensee, 4358, licensed by DBO under California RMLA and MLS 19186, pearlmortgage.com licensing.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy talking about President Obama not attending Justice Scalia's funeral on Saturday. Also, the politics over the appointment to replace Scalia, the nomination and confirmation, lack of even processing. Another GOP senator trying to be too cute by half should stop it. Dean Heller from Nevada said in a statement, the president should use this opportunity to put the will of the people ahead of advancing a liberal agenda on the nation's highest court. The chances of approving a new nominee are slim, but Nevadans should have a voice in the process. Should he decide to nominate someone to the Supreme Court, who knows? Maybe it'll be a Nevadan, reference to Republican governor of Nevada, Brian Sandoval. Yeah, right.
That's not going to happen.
Obviously, stop being cute. Draw the line and defend the line. That's what Republicans need to do, plain and simple.
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line.
Let's go to Matt and Willowbrook on that turnkey.pro answer line. Hey, Matt.
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
Good.
How you doing?
I thought, why don't we go with his speech, the kindness and the gentleness and all that fuzzy feel-good stuff. Let's compromise. Let's hold the whole thing at a mock. I'm sure he could show up then.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Matt. I'm not sure that Scalia's son, the priest, or the Scalia family or anybody else is willing to go along with that, but I get the
He's going to have a proper Catholic burial.
Yes. The best kind of Catholic burial,
exactly.
A proper one.
Thank you.
Ed in Oak Brook.
Yeah, Dan, to be fair, he didn't attend Michael Brown's funeral either, and Michael Brown had a tremendous impact on this country, for the worst, of course. But he didn't go to that funeral, and he didn't even send Biden to that one.
Yeah.
So he doesn't like funerals.
He doesn't like funerals. That's the problem. Thanks for the call, Ed. Michael Brown.
What funerals has he attended?
And then Scalia.
They go to memorial services, and they go to,
He went to Nelson Mandela's.
Oh, that's right, with that interpreter on his side doing this.
Yeah, and taking the selfies with the Danish prime minister.
Oh, yeah, because that's what you do. That's classy. My kids wouldn't even do that during a funeral.
It's a class act, in case you haven't noticed.
By the way, Michael Brown, my kids still think that he's an athlete. Like, is he an athlete? Why is he so popular? Why is everybody talking about Michael Brown? Does he play basketball?
President Obama is like school on a holiday.
No class.
Yeah, man. All right, man. Joan in Lake County, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer. Hi, Joan.
Hi. I don't know if Obama's more rude than ignorant or ignorant than rude.
Tough call.
But when he puts up someone to fill the court vacancy, they should just ignore it, just not acknowledge it. Put him in a vacuum. In fact, if he was in a vacuum for the rest of his term, I couldn't be happier.
Thanks for the call, Joan.
You're welcome.
You've made the switch.
Congratulations to all who took the Balance of Nature New Year's Challenge. Success stories are pouring in. So many people have been helped through this incentive that I have asked Balance of Nature to continue this challenge for as long as possible.
It's wonderful. I love the product. I haven't been sick all winter, and I've classically been sick every October or November or December or maybe one of each. And I haven't been sick at all because what I've done is double up on the veggies and open the capsule and put it in a little chicken broth, made a little soup of it, and just enjoyed it. And whenever I felt like I was coming down with something, I would do that. Just prevented anything from happening.
Good health is only a phone call away. What are you waiting for? Don't miss your opportunity to get a free month supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
Hey, a great night out awaits courtesy of ChicagoRadioDeals.com. Take advantage of a deal for a sumptuous dinner at the award-winning Buckingham Steakhouse. Enjoy an evening surrounded by luxurious decor, attentive service, all while dining on the finest in prime steaks and seafood. You can buy a $100 certificate for only $60. Hey, tired of visiting the usual burger joints? We'll give your taste buds a thrill. At Prime Burger House, be blown away with the decadence of their handcrafted creations, like the Surf and Turf Burger, which combines their butchered on-site prime beef patty with a lobster tail perched on top. $50 gift certificate, only $30 at CRD. There's even awesome deals for the Indulge Show Kitchen Seafood Buffet and regular buffet. Now, these family-friendly restaurants are all located in the Pavilion at the Grand Victoria in Elgin. See details at ChicagoRadioDeals.com. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Fresh off the prediction that he'll finish third in South Carolina, Jeb Bush promptly almost resigns from the campaign yesterday. We'll have that at 5:35.
But first, let's go back into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Turkey's state-run news agency said moments ago a rebel bomb attack in southeast Turkey has killed 6 soldiers. Today's blast comes one day after a suicide car bombing in Ankara killed 28. President Obama is going to Cuba next month. The White House will make that announcement later today. The visit part of a Latin American swing in March. Apple CEO Tim Cook still refusing the FBI's demand to unlock the phone used by one of the San Bernardino terror shooters. White House spokesman Josh Earnest telling reporters yesterday the FBI wants Apple to open only one phone, not to write new code and create a complete backdoor for a whole class of phones. Republican presidential candidate Ted Cruz is not surprised that rival Donald Trump is threatening to sue.
I'll confess I laughed out loud. This has not been a typical race by any sense. And I don't think anyone is surprised that Donald is threatening to sue people. He's done that most of his adult life.
In a CNN town hall event last night, the Texas senator saying Trump has been suing for many people for many decades. And Jeb Bush said last night he's disappointed that South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley is endorsing Republican rival Marco Rubio.
Ladies and gentlemen, if we elect Marco Rubio, every day will be a great day in America.
South Carolina's GOP primary is Saturday. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton held an organizing event here in Chicago and recalled Sandra Bland's death as an example of problems with local policing.
We owe it to them to reform police practices, to make sure that no other young woman like Sandra Bland is ever pulled out of a car for no good reason and thrown into a jail where she is found dead.
Bernie Sanders did open an office in Illinois yesterday in the South Loop. Sanders was not on hand. Jesus Chuy Garcia, Cook County Commissioner, opened that office for Bernie Sanders. A teen is in critical condition. Another victim also hospitalized after a fire on Chicago's southwest side. It happened in the 6,000 block of South Troy. Federal judge has ruled that Mayor Rahm Emanuel will not have to testify about the so-called police code of silence, part of a civil lawsuit. Lawyers for Nicole Tomaskovic had sought the mayor's testimony as they pursue a claim that police covered up a 2007 road rage incident. And the University of Illinois has confirmed reports that Josh Whitman will be its new athletic director. In a statement Wednesday, interim Chancellor Barbara Wilson praised the leadership of the young 37-year-old. Whitman, who played football for the Fighting Illini, called it a dream come true. Chicago sports, Blackhawks over the Rangers 5-3. Rookie sensation Artemi Panarin had his first hat trick. Illinois Partners for Clean Air, idling your car engine is a big waste. Idling causes air pollution, 6 billion gallons of fuel going up in smoke every year. So learn to breathe easy and save easy with Illinois Partners for Clean Air at cleantheair.org. 5:34, time to check the climate of your business with aircomfort.com. 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
America right now is better off than it's ever been. Man, if I thought that, I wouldn't fight.
The Joe Walsh Show.
52% of young people would do away with the First Amendment. We have people being fined and threatened with jail time for exercising their religious freedom. Yes, I am a pessimist, but that's why I fight.
The Joe Walsh Show. Weeknights starting at 5. Right after Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, roasted fresh daily in Batavia, Illinois.
If your company needs custom metal fabrication products, then you should know AM 560 Feed the Children business benefactor Lockport Steel Fabricators. For over 7 decades, from the smallest project to major commercial construction, Lockport Steel's family of companies has excelled at manufacturing a diverse product mix, including structural steel, miscellaneous metals, aluminum extrusions, and more. Imagine the peace of mind knowing you're working with a national company that's AISC certified right here in Chicagoland. Customers know Lockport Steel focuses on getting your job done right, on time, and to exact needs and specs. Immediate turnaround service is also available. Discover why all types of major industries, including oil and gas, power generation, telecommunications, store fixtures, and commercial construction companies, trust Lockport Steel to make it happen for them. Visit lockportsteel.com or call Greg Radecki today at 815-927-4401 for a no obligation quote and consultation. Lockport Steel Fabricators, making it happen. That's lockportsteel.com.
5:36 in our Chicago RadioDeals.com traffic center. Let's get the latest on your morning commute. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Bishop Ford Freeway outbound traffic is heavy approaching 8094. The ramp to eastbound 8094 remains closed with rollover semi. Inbound Ford Freeway has a 2-minute delay from before Cottage Grove to the Ryan. On the inbound ride, it's slow from the Stevens Center to the Burns Circle, 19 minutes to 95th to downtown. Outbound 15 despite some road work between Garfield and 63rd. The Edens, Kennedy, Eisenhower, all good. Inbound Stevenson, little tight Pulaski to Kedzie. It's just about a 1-minute delay. No problems to report on the tollways. Traffic is a service of WesternUnion.com's mobile app. You might be stuck in traffic, but your money shouldn't be. Send money around the world 24/7 with the Western Union mobile app. Download the app and send your money fast. Next time you need to send money quickly, get out of a jam and tap the Western Union app. It's money. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte. AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Cloudy and increasingly windy today, high near 39. 25 at O'Hare. Next news at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Advanced Planning Advisors, bringing you Smart Money Talk with Mike Moylan and Rob Curvin, Saturday mornings at 6.
You want more than just the headlines? Find out what's going on and what it means with me, Dennis Prager, this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, well, the Black Widow has struck again. Of course, I'm talking about Amy, because yesterday she predicted that Jeb Bush would finish third, a surprising third in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately after that, Nikki Haley endorsed Rubio, and Jeb Bush's day just spun out of control from there, such that Jeb suggested that maybe he should just, give up altogether.
It's all decided. I mean, we don't have to go vote, I guess. It's all finished. I should stop campaigning maybe, huh? It's all done. That's not how democracy works, right?
He was getting peppered by his own supporters at his own town hall.
Well, I think you're taking him out of context. I think because he's trying to rally the crowd. Like, what do you want me to just give up? And then he expected the crowd to do this. No, don't give up. We love you.
Right.
Stop it. Don't talk like that. You're crazy, man. You're nuts.
Is that
there a dart in my neck?
Is that what happened?
Yes, but you didn't play the entire soundbite because this is how this works around here.
And according to a more complete roundup of that town hall, after Bush got kind of booed by taking a shot at Rubio.
Yeah.
And this is at his town hall. Then the first, two men stood up to ask questions. The first said he thought Bush was best qualified, but was concerned the governor looked shaken up by the bullying from his rivals. And then Bush kind of interrupted, irritated. I don't feel like I'm shaken up. 10 minutes later, another man stood. He agreed with the first man, urged Bush to emphasize his policy positions. And Bush said, I do, interrupting the man. This is called campaigning. And then he just said, oh, the hell with it all. I'm just going to give up. I mean, that's kind of a rough day when you can't kind of have everybody singing from the same hymnal in your own town hall. You know what I mean?
No, he's a little old. He's a little out of touch, I have to say.
No.
I mean, once again, yesterday, he's like, we got to pull up our big boy pants and stop talking like that. Who says big boy pants? Stop it. But here's the thing. He has one last chance to redeem himself.
And what's that?
Tonight's CNN town hall. When the voters ask him questions.
Hope it goes better than his own town hall did.
Yeah, I hope so too, Dan.
Right.
But that's the only way that he could, I think, turn things around at the last minute. Now, I did suggest that Jeb Bush would come in third, but that is before Nikki Haley came out yesterday and endorsed Marco Rubio.
Right. And
I think Marco Rubio is going to beat Ted Cruz in South Carolina.
That's interesting because one new national poll has Ted Cruz moving for the first time ahead of Donald Trump. The NBC Wall Street Journal poll has Cruz with 28. This is national now. Cruz 28, Trump 26, Rubio 17, Kasich 11, Carson 10, and your guy Jeb pulling up the rear at 4%.
Someone's got to pull up the rear.
It's right. It might as well be Jeb.
It's going to be the biggest comeback of all time.
So, that's one national poll, as we've said repeatedly, with all the national polls that Trump has been atop for so many months. National polls don't mean so much. This is a state-by-state process. And with respect to the state-by-state process, Donald Trump's still up pretty substantially in South Carolina 2 days before their primary, and in the other states too. But there does seem to be a little bit of narrowing going on, and that's reflected in the national numbers. A little bit of narrowing going on in forthcoming states. But I don't know if it's narrowing enough if the field stays at 6.
I think that this takes Donald Trump down a notch. If anything, it's a punch to his ego. Because if you look at this other poll, which I loved, same by NBC, Wall Street Journal, who do you trust most to be the Republican nominee for president? Marco Rubio, first place, Ted Cruz, second place, Kasich, and then Donald Trump. So when it's a question of trust, I don't think the trust is there for Donald Trump. People are starting to see that this is just, a show and tell. This is just a man who's got an ego to feed.
Perhaps, but remember, if it's 6 candidates, this is a plurality process. This is a plurality game, not a 50% plus one game. And the plurality game, Trump is still well positioned to win. But in response to that poll, here's Donald Trump's response to the Wall Street Journal NBC poll.
So let's go over some polls and we'll follow up with some of these questions. There's a brand new Monmouth University poll out. It actually finds you with a 16-point lead in South Carolina, 35% to Cruz's 19% to Marco at 17. A new Bloomberg Politics South Carolina poll that was just released tonight puts you ahead of Ted Cruz 36 to 17%, with Rubio again in third place at 15%. However, a new NBC News Wall Street Journal poll that was taken after Saturday night's debate. Poll. It's a national poll showing Ted Cruz with a slim 2-point margin, 28 to 26%, with Marco Rubio in third at 17.
Are things closing in here in South Carolina?
Well, I think most of these polls were taken after the debate, and, the debate worked out good for me, and it was taken after the debate. I have never done well in the Wall Street Journal poll. I think somebody at Wall Street Journal doesn't like me, but I never do well with the Wall Street Journal polls.
I mean, blaming someone at the Wall Street Journal, thinking that this is a personal attack on you? What is going on? It's mind-numbing, really.
It's his grade school answers to everything. Somebody doesn't like me. The Wall Street Journal NBC poll, you can question the methodology if you want. They've been polling this race from the beginning, and Trump has been atop the national polls that they've done many, many months. So now somebody's got it in for Donald Trump over there, and so they somehow they insinuated themselves into the office of the polling firm, the NBC Wall Street Journal contracts to do these surveys, and it's a conspiracy to make Donald Trump look bad. I mean, it's just silly.
Well, if he's not number one, then he's a victim of somebody who's out to get him, because either they're jealous of him or they don't like his ideas, which are just barking. There's no, rhetoric or no thought process behind anything that he says.
Well, I want to get to some other, the dueling town halls. We got to get to Rubio and Cruz, but also Donald Trump had his own town hall. And this is a rather interesting statement. We've talked about his Code Pink historical revisionism as it pertains to the war in Iraq. How about a present and obviously longstanding conflict, that between Israel and Palestinians in the Middle East? Where does Trump come down to that? That's kind of an important geopolitical as well as a regional issue in the context of the war on terror and our one strong ally in the Middle East, and how poorly Netanyahu has been treated by this president, and the repairing of that relationship that will need to be done by the next president. Where does Donald Trump think we should go on that important geopolitical matter?
Trump, multiple past presidents have attempted to establish a peace agreement between both sides of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and the one common theme is that they've all been unsuccessful. What specific steps would you take to establish an agreement between both sides?
Okay, I think it's probably the toughest agreement of any kind to make. It has been going on for many years. Many friends of mine have been involved. They're very, very good businessmen, very good negotiators. A lot of people say an agreement can't be made, which is okay. Sometimes agreements can't be made, not good. But, you have both sides, really, but you have one side in particular growing up and learning that these are the worst people, these people are the worst people, et cetera, et cetera. It is a very, very tough agreement to make. I was with a very prominent Israeli the other day. Says it's impossible because the other side has been trained from the time they're children to hate Jewish people. But I will give it one hell of a shot, that I can tell you. But of all agreements, I always said, if you can do that deal, you can do any deal. But that's probably the toughest deal in the world right now to make. And it's possible it's not makeable because, don't forget, it has to last. It's wonderful to make it and it doesn't work, but it has to last. To make lasting peace there, probably the toughest deal of all, but I'm going to give it a shot.
Whose fault do you think it is that there hasn't been peace?
I don't want to get into it. I don't want to get into it for a different reason, Joe, because if I do win, there has to be a certain amount of surprise, unpredictability. Our country has no unpredictability. If I win, I don't want to be in a position where I'm saying to you and the other side now say, we don't want Trump involved. We don't want. Let me be sort of a neutral guy. Let's see what. I'm going to give it a shot. It would be so great. I would be so proud if I could do that. I don't know if it's doable. I have friends of mine that are tremendous business people that are really great negotiators. They say it's not doable. You understand, a lot of people have gone down.
Does that answer leave you satisfied? President of the United States talking about the relationship we have with Israel and the peace process notwithstanding, or the lack of one, I'm going to be a neutral guy. I'm going to be a neutral guy on Israel.
Well, on to the real town hall on CNN. I thought Marco Rubio did a wonderful job. I've fallen in love with him all over again. He presented himself as the unifier of the Republican Party.
But my promise to you, if I'm the nominee, is I'm not just going to unify the Republican Party. I'm going to grow it. We're going to take our message to people that haven't voted for Republicans in a long time.
And then he doubled down on Ted Cruz as being a liar, and also just the Trey Gowdy issue, because there was a rumor out there, a tweet that Trey Gowdy is not supporting him anymore. And he responded.
I've said he's been lying because if you say something that isn't true and you say it over and over again and you know that it's not true, there's no other word for it. And when it's about your record, you have to clear it up, because if you don't, then people say, well, then it must be true. He didn't dispute it. And he's done that a number of times. We saw what he did to Dr. Carson in Iowa, which was wrong. We saw yesterday Trey Gowdy. Somebody came up with a fake Facebook post saying Trey Gowdy was no longer endorsing me, a very popular congressman here in South Carolina. So these things are disturbing and they need to be addressed.
Yeah, and Cruz addressed Rubio's record because during the debate on Saturday night, Cruz made specific references to specific things Rubio has said and done, like supporting in-state tuition for illegal immigrants in Florida, which he did.
He did.
Like his position on Obama's illegal executive action on DACA, deferred action for child arrivals in this country, and the whole back and forth of what he said in Spanish. Cruz has an ad up, and he's got the Spanish translated.
I'm Ted Cruz, and I approve this message.
Marco went on Univision in Spanish and said he would not rescind President Obama's illegal executive amnesty on his first day in office.
Ted Cruz has just been telling lies. It's false. It's just not true. Pero DACA yo creo que es importante, no se puede cancelar de un momento al otro porque ya hay personas que están beneficiando.
Florida Senator Marco Rubio offered a measure of support for President Obama's first executive amnesty program, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, during a recent interview he conducted in Spanish with Univision's Jorge Ramos.
You don't trust Marco Rubio. I don't trust him, not for a second. You don't give a speech in Spanish and tell everybody one thing and then say, it was a translation thing. No.
Yeah, so just in terms of setting the record straight, since Rubio wants to run around saying Cruz is a liar, and so does Trump, and now Rubio seems to be taking the kind of Trump rhetoric and trying to pillory Cruz with it as well. I mean, I like Rubio, and this is the nature of political campaigns, but I mean, just in terms of setting the record straight, these are some of the positions that Rubio's taken. And rather than walking that back in or suggesting that he has had a change of heart on some of these matters, he just calls Cruz a liar. That's not particularly convincing.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Today, cloudy start, and the wind is going to increase by this afternoon, a high near 40 degrees. Tonight, cloudy and windy. Highs in the upper 30s, and tomorrow very windy, warmer with clouds breaking. There could be some locally damaging winds in the afternoon, a high near 60 degrees. Let's get the travel times. Anything damaging out on the roadways? Here's Jim Telemonte.
Yes, Amy, good morning. On the Bishop Ford Freeway outbound, it's slow from 159th to 8094. The ramp to eastbound 8094 is blocked with a rollover semi. You could take 159th east to Torrance as an alternate. Inbound Ford Freeway, got a 3 or 4 minute delay from 103rd to the Ryan. The inbound Ryan has delays from the Stevenson into downtown, about a 4 minute delay there. Eisenhower inbound, a little heavy Manheim to First, 1 or 2 minute delay. The Stevenson has about 3 minutes worth of delays from Cicero to Kedzie and approaching Lakeshore Drive. Tollways are clear. Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com, Traffic Center.
Turnkey IT is a name you've come to know and trust on AM 560. Turnkey IT provides small businesses with IT resources that are normally reserved for Fortune 500 companies. They provide world-class network installations and ongoing IT support for fixed monthly rates based on the size of your network. In fact, Turnkey IT is a program that fits the needs of your business. Turnkey IT understands your business matters, and keeping you focused on it makes all the difference in the world. Best of all, their service can save you time and money. Turnkey IT can give you the peace of mind that backups are being executed, email is always available, files are secure, and you've got someone to call when you need help. Turnkey IT has people who are professional, friendly, on time, and a live person even answers the phone 24 hours a day. So visit turnkey.pro today for a plan that fits your needs. That's turnkey.pro.
If you suffer from depression, consider TMS, an incredible new advancement in treating and relieving depression.
I'm Gina, and I suffered with depression for 19 years. And like most people, I tried medications and I couldn't tolerate the side effects, and they never worked properly for me. TMS was a great thing. It helped me out so much. Now I have the sparkle back in my eyes, and I'm able to feel great about life again. It worked really great for me, and I would absolutely recommend it to anybody suffering with depression.
TMS, or transcranial magnetic stimulation, is a safe, non-invasive, and highly effective treatment for drug-resistant depression. Most insurance companies cover TMS, including Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois and Medicare. Depression can be beaten, and without drugs. To schedule a free consultation, call Theramind at 847-562-5868 or go to tmsmind.com.
All right, let's open up there, Dave. Yes, you have the worst cavity I've ever seen before.
Oh, that explains this horrible pain.
Okay, then, have a good day.
Well, aren't you gonna fix it?
Oh, no, I'm not a dentist, just a dental monitor.
Monitor?
I don't fix cavities, just let you know when you have them. Like I said, it's a pretty big hole.
Why monitor a problem if you don't fix it? That's why LifeLock does more than free credit monitoring to protect you from identity theft. We not only use proprietary technology to detect and alert you to a range of identity threats. If you have a problem, we have a US-based team of specialists who'll fix it. After all, plaque attacks are nothing compared to the identity theft that 1 in 4 people experienced last year. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses. But with LifeLock, protecting your identity is pretty painless. Your molars are a different story. Membership starts at $9.99 a month. Sign up now and get 10% off. Go to lifelock.com and enter promo code NEWS.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to drill down and talk about the big ideas behind the big issues. That's where Upstream Ideas comes in. Upstream Ideas, online at upstream-ideas.com, in partnership with the Illinois Policy Institute, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted orthodoxies. In other words, Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now to upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to spur you on to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit more free, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
Hey, if you're a car enthusiast who appreciates the joy of driving a high-end performance car or never lost your passion for classic or modern muscle cars, you need to know about this Feed the Children business benefactor. With decades of experience, Comet Motorsports provides car lovers with the highest quality service and performance products available. And Comet can save you money on quality service for your pride and joy. Hey, if you own a late-model European performance or domestic muscle car, Comet can install performance tuning software to reprogram your car's computer to increase performance without sacrificing drivability. Comet is a complete tuning facility. Man, Comet even installs parts furnished by customers. If you have minor dents and dings, including hail damage, Comet can perform expert paintless dent repair to avoid bodywork and painting. Call Comet Motorsports in St. Charles at 630-584-5400 or visit CometMotorsports.com. That's Comet with a K. Hey, it's important businesses who share conservative values work together and support each other so our companies thrive. If you're a manufacturer, I encourage you to call my very good friend Laz Kulchar from Automated Systems. As a software and systems integration company, they create custom solutions to make your production lines, facilities, and plants run way more efficiently. Imagine less downtime, more speed, and fewer rejects. It doesn't matter if you're a Fortune 500 company or a startup. Automated Systems delivers solutions for your toughest automation challenges. At Freedom Summit, Laz wowed the crowd with this story of escaping communism, coming to the U.S., and building a successful company. And I know that Laz and Automated Systems can wow your company by making it more profitable. If you even suspect that Automated Systems could benefit your manufacturing company, then call Laz at Automated Systems at 844-HIRE-ASI or visit SYS.com. That's 844-HIRE-ASI.
Hi, Barry Sterner, founder of your #1 home mortgage lender, Townstone Financial. I continue to get calls and emails from homeowners whose interest rates are above 4%. Please do yourself a favor. Take 1 minute. Dial 312-896-2111 or go to townstone.com and let us give you some no closing costs refinance options today. No closing costs means no hidden costs. I guarantee it, and I own the company. Remember, you don't have to restart your mortgage at 30 years or 15. We can customize the payback period. Also, if your home is worth less than what you owe, we still have the government HARP program, which will allow you to refinance and save money. And anyone who has an FHA mortgage or one with private mortgage insurance definitely needs to call me now so we can lower your monthly mortgage payments due to the recent increase in home values. The call is free and so is my time. So dial 312-896-2111. That's 312-896-2111 or go to townstone.com. That's TOWNSTONE.com. Townstone Financial is an Illinois mortgage licensee 6629 and MLS 136639 equal housing lender.
Dan and Amy, text from the Amish texter, I think regarding DACA, the translation of Spanish to English shows Rubio actually said, badges, we don't need no stinking badges. Nice Treasure of Sierra Madre reference, Amish texter, very well done.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll be joined by State Representative Jeannie Ives from the lovely community of Wheaton, Illinois.
Pleasantville.
Yeah. Talk about Governor Rauner's budget address yesterday where he offered Democrat legislative leaders, if you don't want to balance the budget, I'm happy to do it. Just give me the authority. We'll talk to Representative Ives about how she thinks that'll play out at 6:06.
And Apple versus the FBI, and which GOP candidates are urging Apple to do the right thing. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
Blackhawks skip past the Rangers on this cloudy day. WIND Chicago News Time, 6 o'clock.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lisa Brady. Not since Calvin Coolidge has a U.S. president visited Cuba. President Obama is about to change that. Fox News Radio's John Decker live at the White House.
The trip by the president to Cuba sometime next month follows his decision to normalize relations with the communist-ruled island in December 2014. Critics, including Republican presidential candidate Marco Rubio, a Cuban-American, argue that Cuba remains a dictatorship.
The Cuban government today harbors hundreds of fugitives of American justice, Medicare fraudsters, people that have stolen your money. They're a repressive regime.
Rubio at a CNN town hall last night. The White House is eager to build trade and diplomatic ties with Cuba before the president leaves office. Lisa?
Thanks, John. 2 days to South Carolina's GOP primary, Ted Cruz has the national lead in a new NBC Wall Street Journal poll, 2 points ahead of Donald Trump.
I never do well with the Wall Street Journal polls, so I don't know. They do these small samples, and I don't know exactly what it represents.
Trump at an MSNBC town hall event saying he's not worried. Most other polls give him a big lead. For Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders, another tight race ahead of the Democrats' Saturday caucuses in Nevada. A Syrian who entered Turkey as a refugee is named as the suspected suicide bomber in a deadly attack yesterday. Fox News Radio's Simon Owen live in our European bureau.
Lisa, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan blaming the bombing on a Syrian Kurdish militia working with Turkish Kurdish rebels. Turkey responding with airstrikes on Kurdish targets in Iraq. The main Syrian Kurdish group denying responsibility. Syrian Kurdish militias are a key part of American attempts to combat ISIS. At least 28 people died in the attack in Ankara, a car bomb targeting buses carrying military personnel. Lisa?
Simon, thanks. You're listening to Fox News Radio. Fair and balanced.
Mostly cloudy skies, 24 degrees. It is 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A teen in critical condition. Another victim hospitalized after a fire on Chicago's southwest side. The teen victim suffering burns and adult smoke inhalation. The cause under investigation. 5 suburban teens are accused of making threats on social media that caused several students to miss class at Huntley High School. The juveniles are charged with disorderly conduct. They've been petitioned to McHenry County Juvenile Court. Governor Rauner gave no ground to Democrats during his budget address Wednesday, and a way out, he says, of the 7-month-long budget impasse. As AM 560's David Stewart reports.
Governor Rauner gave lawmakers an ultimatum demanding that they negotiate on his reform agenda or give him the knife to make spending cuts.
If you're not willing to do that, then give the executive branch the flexibility to reallocate resources and make reductions to state spending as necessary.
Senate President John Cullerton says Rauner's budget is actually out of balance, and the emergency power he wants would rob pensions and local governments.
That's what he wants to do. That's what our bill does. That's a bad idea.
House Speaker Mike Madigan says a budget deal is possible as soon as Rauner uncouples the budget from his anti-middle class reform agenda. David Stewart, Chicago.
A city attorney told a judge yesterday backers of the proposed Lucas Museum are considering other locations and other cities because the legal fight over the lakefront site drags on. The activist group Friends of the Parks is suing the city, claiming the film and artwork museum would violate lakefront protection doctrines. The city wants to start construction while the lawsuit plays out, but the judge yesterday said he has an open mind about the suit and told the city he'll rule on April 21 whether to allow construction to start. Chicago sports, Blackhawks over the Rangers 5-3. Rookie sensation Artemi Panarin scoring his first hat trick at Carnesecca Arena. That sounds good. St. John's over DePaul 80-65. Loyola a winner over Northern Iowa last night in college hoops, and Illinois State took down the Sycamores of Indiana State. The news service of Illinois Partners for Clean Air. Idling your car engine is a big waste. Idling causes air pollution. 6 billion gallons of fuel goes up in smoke every year. Learn to breathe easy and save easy with Illinois Partners for Clean Air at cleantheair.org. 6:04, time to check the climate of your business with aircomfort.com. 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager gives an overview of the shift in American politics.
There is really no symmetry. There's no mirror image here. To a large extent, the Republicans have essentially the view of the world that John F. Kennedy had, who was a liberal Democrat. And now a man who was a lifelong socialist may get the nomination, or at least is extremely popular among Democrats.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
This is an announcement for all people who want to take a risk-free challenge to whiten their teeth in 5 minutes using clinically proven power swabs. This risk-free challenge is for people whose smile has been yellowed by coffee, tea, or smoking. It's so effective, we challenge you to try it for 5 minutes to see how white your smile could be. If lines are busy, try again. Dial 1-800-663-1592. That's 1-800-663-1592. 1-800-663-1592.
Uber is an app that helps you make extra money just for driving your car. And because it's totally flexible, you don't have to quit your day job to make more money, because you can drive and earn whenever you want. There are 3 simple steps to start making money. First, sign up for free on your phone. Second, answer a few questions and get approved. And third, start driving. So, what are you waiting for? Sign up today at drivewithuber.com. That's drivewithuber.com.
6:06 in our Chicago RadioDeals.com traffic center. Let's get the very latest this morning with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. On the outbound Bishop Ford Freeway, traffic is slow from 159th to 8094. The ramp to eastbound 8094 is blocked with a rollover truck. And what's happening is a lot of drivers unaware going to southbound 394 and turning around via Glenwood Dyer Road, but there are delays there on 394 from Thornton Lansing to Glenwood Dyer. So better alternate, be to take eastbound 159th to southbound Torrance, get to eastbound 8094. Inbound Ford Freeway, slow as usual, 103rd to the merge, about a 4-minute delay, and then the Ryan has a 4 or 5 minute delay coming into downtown. The Edens and the Kennedy are still fine.
The people of Illinois are sick and tired of it.
31 minutes.
I'm insisting that we attack the root cause.
38 minutes.
You choose, but please choose now.
All the way to the Eisenhower. Traffic is a service
with respect,
Enjoy
I
a
humbly
restaurant quality meal at home with Jules P.F. Chang's meal deal. Get a P.F. Chang's entree, appetizer, and rice side dish, all for just $9.99. That's an extra savings of $2 when you buy all 3. Look for this great buy in Jewel Osco's frozen aisles. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the aircomfort.com Weather Center, aircomfort.com, 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Today, rather cloudy and windy, high 39. Cloudy and windy tonight, low 37. Winds gusting past 50 miles per hour tomorrow with clouds followed by some sun. Winds locally damaging, high of 57. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
25 at O'Hare, 26 along the lakefront. Next news, 6:30, and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Aging Info Radio. Heard Sunday mornings at 9, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
What is up, Dan and Amy? One thing is up, our debts, our taxes, our unfunded liabilities, our unpaid bills. Bruce Rauner, he's the governor, you know. He tried to address many of those items in yesterday's budget address before the gathering of noblemen and magistrates in Springfield.
It was great. It was a little, it sounded a little religious, didn't he, at times?
Yes, he was trying to kind of be...
Are we going to talk like this the whole hour?
No.
Because I will, Dan, if you want to.
With Rauner, you have to drop your G's.
Oh, that's right. When did he start doing that?
Everything has to be cut back in Illinois. So you have to eliminate some letters in your talks as well.
Wait till we get to the vowels.
He started out by saying a year ago, I proposed a budget with $6 billion in cuts. It was quickly rejected by the legislature. We offered to work together to find a compromise, but our reform proposals were ignored. Instead, Democrat legislators passed a spending plan that was more than $4 billion out of balance, and I had to veto it. So that's where we've been for the last year. But he presented a choice. The Sun-Times calls it an ultimatum. I would call this a very magnanimous choice, frankly. You don't want to do the heavy lifting. You don't want to do any of the dirty work. Chicago Democrat legislative supermajority leaders who've been in Springfield for about 80 years between the two of them and have created all of these messes we describe and discuss all the time. So Rauner says, okay, I'll do it. I'll volunteer. I'm the governor. I'm the executive. I'll do the dirty work. I'll do the heavy lifting. He said, this leaves us, the dynamics being what I described and what he described, that leaves us with only two choices. Either you give the executive branch the authority to cut spending to live within our revenues, or we agree together on economic and governmental reforms to accompany a negotiated balance of spending reductions and revenue that ensures Illinois can both be compassionate and competitive.
You choose, but please choose now.
Yeah, so chop, General Assembly, make the choice. I think that's a pretty fair presentation of the two options and the willingness for Governor Rauner to act and to shoulder the burden that legislative leaders certainly don't want to do, because remember, supermajorities in both chambers, they could pass tax increases if they just want to focus on the revenue side, and they could override Rauner vetoes on tax increases. They've chosen not to act because they don't want to wear the jacket for any difficult decisions. Rauner stepping up and saying, I'll wear the jacket. I'll do what has to be done.
Yeah, and he tried to, reach out once again to the Democratic lawmakers.
With respect, I humbly ask you to join me in transforming our state for the better.
See, no G. No G on transforming.
Transforming,
not transforming. No,
right.
you can't afford those superfluous G's anymore, Amy. For more on the budget address and the implications of what Governor Rauner had to say and what President Cullerton and Speaker Madigan will do in response, we're now joined by our friend State Representative Jeannie Ives from God's country.
Wheatonville, Pleasantville,
Wheaton,
call
Illinois.
it what you must. Land of the pretty people.
That's
right.
But enough about me, really.
Oh, my God.
Representative Ives, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Well, thanks for helping me figure out exactly what Mike Madigan does when Rauner speaks. Because, the whole time that Rauner's speaking, he is looking down at a paper. I don't know what he's doing, but I have figured it out now. He is ticking off the number of times that Rauner drops his G's.
Oh, I thought.
Oh, there you go.
I think that's what he's doing.
Jeannie.
I thought he was writing missives to the Cook County Board of Tax Appeals for his property tax clients to get them the kind of relief they need so he can make 30% on the savings. I thought that's what he was doing. But
quickly
could be doing both.
on that note, though, during the 27-minute speech, Jeannie, I don't know if you saw this, but Senate President John Cullerton, he actually made some faces. Did you see that?
No, I don't have a really clear view of Cullerton, so I didn't see that. But he's definitely engaged, and Mike Madigan's not. He looks down the entire time and then ushers him off the podium as soon as he's over. That's it.
Well, so what about the choice that Rauner presented to the General Assembly, to the Democrat legislative leaders mainly, because the two caucuses are largely beholden to them to and just do what they're told, with a few exceptions. But what about that presentation of the choices Rauner offered?
Well, actually, I don't think it's a choice that anybody in the legislature likes, because we're not involved in really the discussions. So I don't think that we like it either, but I think that we're at the state that we are, and it is a state of emergency. And so your readers, your listeners rather, they should really go to the government's website and read the economic outlook that Rauner's staff lays out and what the state spending's done. And right now in Illinois, we have fewer people working than in 2000. Our unemployment rate for the last decade has exceeded the national average. And to put that in context, if we had just had an unemployment rate that is the average of other states, we would have had 600,000 more jobs. 600,000 more jobs. Instead, we're down over 105,000 jobs over the last 16 years.
And Rauner,
are the other states around us doing great? So we are struggling. We have to have this extreme, binary choice.
And Rauner made that point also, those 600,000 jobs you mentioned, that would have thrown off another $19 billion in additional revenue. So there wouldn't be the budget crisis, there wouldn't be the bill backlog, there would have been the revenue to accommodate some of the state's encumbrances. But, of course, we're past post on that. And so I wonder how you think Madigan and Cullerton are going to respond, or are we just going to be in this situation where, look, unless the governor wants to just abide their $4 billion out-of-whack budget or raise taxes and without structural reforms to pass a balanced budget, then we're just going to be here until the dust settles from this election cycle, until after November, and then we're going to see what the balance of power looks like and what's achievable at that point.
Well, that's exactly what's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen. And here's the indication. Everybody knows that the biggest problem we have is our pension problem. We're looking to spend $8.5 billion, 25% of our general revenues next year just on pensions. And what did we do yesterday? And I'm on this committee. We canceled the pension committee. Canceled it. In fact, pension committee hasn't met yet this year. So
why?
I mean, he's not.
Because what's the point?
Because he controls. Yeah. Well,
seriously.
Seriously, what's the point of meeting at all until these people figure it out? But they're going to slow walk everything. And the really sad note is if you read his budget, he talks 3 times about send me the bill on K through 12 education, because what he's going to do is Mike Madigan is going to hold the education budget hostage and threaten the non-opening of schools in August if he doesn't get his way. And he thinks that he's going to win in the political sphere rather than Governor Rauner.
Well,
so it's going to come down to November.
Let's go to that, though, because the other big announcement Rauner made was he will pour $400 million more into early education, but he wants a clean bill. And he repeated this, and I want you to help our listeners understand this. No matter how the session unfolds, send that education bill to my desk clean, no games, and I'll sign it immediately. He's got $400 million more of money we don't have. I don't know where that's going to come from, but that's what he said. But he wants a clean bill, no games. Clean bill, no games. He repeated that. Explain what's happening there.
Well, what's happening there is that he knows last time he passed about 7 different budgets. One of them was education. Governor Rauner signed that education budget knowing that he had open schools. Well, if Mike Madigan refuses to send him an education budget, and we can't send an appropriate GSA and send it to the schools to open,
General State Aid.
It's a big crisis. What?
GSA, General State Aid to the schools.
Yeah, General State Aid. Sorry. Yeah. If he doesn't do that, schools don't open. So they're going to do one of two things. They're not going to send him a budget at all, or they're going to send him a budget that is lit up like a Christmas tree with everything else in there that that we're not interested in spending money on, or because we can't spend the money on it.
So
and so that's where the dare is going to come. So he needs a clean bill for K through 12 education, and at the same time he's laying this out, there were massive screams coming out of the rotunda of people saying, save our school, save our school. Well, if you look at education in Rauner's budget, he's spending $200 million more than Quinn ever did. He's dumping loads of money into early education that never happened before. And if you're a teacher, I mean, how dare the IST come out and actually talk against this budget right after Rauner had said he's going to spend more than we have historically spent in probably the last decade on education, fully funding general state aid, which is something every school wants, and other things. So I just it's just that's what's going to happen. People should be aware, and they should know. They should ask the legislators, will you vote for an education budget that's clean? We need our schools to open.
And so just to put a fine point on it, if Madigan sends him something that's larded up and with funding for higher ed and all of the other social service providers, all the other things that are kind of being bandied about in Springfield, if he doesn't accept it, or if Madigan doesn't send him a clean bill, if they can't agree to that, that's another showdown point where you might not have the money to have the schools open in the fall. This is another showdown perhaps before even a budget deal would be reached.
Absolutely, this is a showdown. And, of course, it's going to highlight the disparities in people, like in my district, where we only get maybe 8% state funding. So we are going to open no matter what happens, and you're going to have other districts like East St. Louis that uses 64% of state funding where they can't open. They won't have the money to open.
Or city
and so you're going to pit these communities against each other once again, and that's what they're looking at.
Or City of Chicago, for that matter. And Rauner, on education, made the other point, we're not going to rob from some school districts to finance other school districts, which is something that the Democrats want to do as well.
But he's literally putting millions, hundreds of millions of dollars more than the Quinn administration ever did into education, including early childhood education, which even people like me wonder, what's the result at third grade? Where's the performance metrics? Which is interesting also about Governor Rauner's budget. He told higher education, look, yeah, you're going to get a haircut. It's going to be less than what I proposed last year, but I'm going to put out this pot of money, and if you perform well, you are eligible to get more of that pot of money. He's put in these metrics of merit pay and performance pay throughout his budget in different organizations and different plans. And I think that's the way we need to go.
And Jeannie, those screaming demonstrators weren't listening to him because they were too busy rolling around on the floor. So they didn't hear when he said he's going to get $400 million more. So
yeah,
that's true too. They literally they laid on the floor in front of the entryway to the chamber.
Did you walk over them, or did you get a separate entrance in?
I was already seated, so I don't know what they did, but they eventually removed them.
Well, then in mid-afternoon they took out their carpet squares for a nap. State Representative Jeannie Ives, thanks so much for joining us and helping to explain the dynamics in Springfield. We appreciate it.
Okay, anytime. Thank you.
And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
I really thought it was the log roll that we used to do in gym class. Anyway, today rather cloudy but increasingly windy. A high near 40 degrees. That's nice. Tonight a low of 37. And tomorrow it's going to be a bizarre day. It's going to be very windy, unseasonably warm, a high near 60 degrees. But with that comes some possible damaging winds. So be careful there, especially in the afternoon. And let's now get the travel times. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thank you, Amy. Bishop Ford Freeway outbound. There are delays from 159th to 8094. The ramp to eastbound 8094 is closed with a rollover truck. You can exit eastbound 159th to get to southbound Torrance to dodge that. But some drivers are heading south on 394. The turnaround at Glenwood Dyer Road. So some delays there on southbound 394. Inbound Bishop Ford, you've got about a 3 or 4 minute delay from 103rd to the Ryan. And the Ryan, looking at 19 minutes, 95th to downtown, outbound fine at 15. Eden's clear, Kennedy inbound, 23 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 20. The Eisenhower, 32 minutes, Thorndale to the Loop. Outbound, a little heavy coming out of downtown. There was a medical emergency near Racine that is clear. Stevenson, 39 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Tollways look pretty good. Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com, Traffic Center.
So who wants to get away and get out of town and head to a warm climate with Dan and Amy? We are heading to Los Cabos, Mexico, April 2nd through the 9th, Saturday to Saturday, presented by Dermatology and Plastic Surgery Associates and by Artistic Dentistry. The exclusive Apple Vacations price has expired, but there's still room. So if you haven't taken action yet, do it now. We're staying at the Secrets Port of Los Cabos Golf and Spa Resort. Adults only, all-inclusive, all suites. Every room has an ocean view. There's 8 spectacular, scrumptious restaurants with award-winning chefs who are in charge, 4 bars, and there's that 24-hour-a-day room service. So you know the resort has 2 pools, access to 3 miles of pristine beaches. You could just walk for miles and come on back when you're ready. And adjacent to the resort, 2 9-hole golf courses. You don't even have to take a cab. You know who I'm talking about to get to the golf course because it's right at the front steps of the resort. The golf courses were designed by Jack Nicklaus and Greg Norman. So get your trip, book it today, do it now. Visit 560theanswer.com, keyword escape, and start packing.
Having a great smile to show off makes you feel good. There's no embarrassment associated with being able to flash your pearly whites whenever you want. If you'd like to feel that comfort and confidence with your smile, there's only one person who can help you. Dr. Neruzzi of Fox River Periodontics.
This is Brian DeWolf. I have 2 implants from Fox River Periodontics. I had one, I was happy with it. So I had another one done, and I love them. The idea of dentures didn't appeal to me at all. I didn't want that appliance in my mouth. These implants are wonderful. They're just like your real teeth, and they're probably even better because there's no nerve attached to them, so there's no pain, and they last forever. Dr. Neruzzi is great, and his staff is wonderful, and I trust him completely. If you're looking for dental implants, or considering dental implants for a missing tooth or for a whole mouthful, talk to Dr. Neruzzi. He'll be happy you did, and Fox River Periodontics.
This is Dr. Neruzzi. I personally guarantee your happiness with your implants. Go to implantsforme.com.
I noticed a difference the first bottle that I went through, definitely. And I just add it to my daily food is what I do, and it's great. It definitely works. Definitely more energetic, more clear thinking. I don't have what you would call a very good diet. We don't do 3 meals a day type of deal. So adding that definitely helps.
I just also want to let you know that, man, I really feel the difference. I never get sick. I'm 55 now, but I mean, I don't look it. I definitely really see the difference with them. So it's like, it's great.
I do love it, actually. I can feel a difference.
Good health is only a phone call away. What are you waiting for? Don't miss your opportunity to get a free month supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
So, Dan, which GOP candidate is colorblind? I won't let you have 6 choices. I'll let you have 3 choices.
Well, one of the 3 that had their CNN town hall last night, I'm going to say it is Ben Carson.
No. Take another guess. You only have 2 more.
Ted Cruz.
No. Marco Rubio.
Jim Gilmore.
No, he wasn't invited to the big show. Marco Rubio is
Lindsey
colorblind.
Graham.
No, Marco Rubio. He's colorblind, and he likes this.
Lincoln Chafee.
I already told you who the winner was.
I miss them.
And something.
Good night, America. Bye forever.
Yeah.
Something
miss
you
him
have
so
in
much.
common with Marco Rubio is your choice of music, right?
I actually grew up listening to 90s hip-hop music, especially the West Coast stuff, and I really liked it. But in the last few years, what's happened with EDM, you've got these electronic these disc jockeys or these DJs that are taking electronic music and overlaying it with tracks from country music and all sorts of things. And so the lyrics are clean, the beats and music is fun. I've gotten into it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and then he went and had a lollipop after that answer. I mean, what
do you mean?
Stop doing that.
No.
Dad, you're embarrassing me. Stop talking about electronic dance music. please.
But that's what he likes. If someone asks
Yeah.
you could talk about your days when you were a rapper and you bring the cardboard and wear your parachute pants and spin around and you had your rat tail in the back.
Yeah, the difference is I take the cardboard out and I do a helicopter spin to prove up my chops, not talk in an antiseptic way about electronic dance music like Rubio.
Please. All right, lighten up. Here's your guy, Ted Cruz. All right, you ready? Gird your loins.
I actually don't sing musicals. I mean, I will sing things like, Oh, my darling, oh, my darling, oh, my darling, Heidi Tyne.
Okay, all right.
Which is really corny. But I used to do it when she'd put it on speakerphone in her office and embarrass her. Or I'd kind of do, I just called to say I love you. I just called to say I care. I cannot sing to save my life.
To be honest with you, the whole thing was just horrendous.
In addition to Donald Trump threatening to sue Ted Cruz.
Oh, which, by the way, he said he...
Now Stevie Wonder is also threatening to sue him after that rendition.
Do you think he'll send him a cease and desist order?
Cease
Stevie
and desist
Wonder?
letter, yes. Yeah.
Like Donald Trump did yesterday?
I hope he does.
Another question for you, Dan Proft. Which GOP candidate likes to play pool as a form of relaxation? It's their favorite thing to do when they're not on the campaign trail.
Carly Fiorina.
No. Hit me.
Rand Paul.
No. Rand Paul. His hair or his perm will get in the way. His permed hair. Think about it. Someone who has precision.
John Kasich.
No.
He doesn't have this. He has the steady hand to play pool. Oh, yeah.
No, who is the steadiest hands to play pool and be successful at it?
The gifted hands. Who would have gifted hands?
Gifted hands.
Ted Cruz.
No.
Who made a movie called The Gifted Hands? Who was Cuba Gooding Jr. played Ted Cruz in the movie about the neurosurgeon with Ben Carson. Ben Carson likes to play pool, huh?
Yes, he does.
I thought it was a terrible audition. Yeah. I mean, really annoying, to the point I actually couldn't hear anymore. Yeah.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing, independently owned business bank. Signature Bank listens to your story, learns about your business, and sticks with their customers. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Kurt Penn, founder and CEO of Good Foods. In 2007, I was shopping in a natural foods grocery store and had a vision for a company that would produce fresh, all-natural foods with a social conscience. Signature Bank helped turn that vision into what now is Good Foods. Signature Bank President Mick O'Rourke listened to our story and learned about our business. Mick has been with us every step of the way. Signature Bank takes care of the details so we can focus on producing good foods. Signature Bank is deeply invested in our success. Good Foods is very proud to bank with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
You know you secretly want to be a rock star. ChicagoRadioDeals.com can put you one step closer to living out your dream with these amazing exclusive deals from our good friends from Midlothian Music. You can bang on the drums all day with your own Tamara Imperial Star 5-piece drum kit. That includes cymbals, stands, and throne for only $350. That is a $700 value. Pick your color that best matches your personality. Create your own sound with a Casio digital piano, which feels and sounds like a real piano. This keyboard is also $350 and comes with a matching stand. Or play your favorite riff on a Taylor Mahogany and Spruce Grand Auditorium acoustic electric guitar. Now, this full-size handmade instrument is a gorgeous guitar, which retails for about $1,000, but is half the price at ChicagoRadioDeals.com. Midlothian Music is dedicated to bringing you the best selection of American-made, handcrafted instruments, plus you will experience the best customer service ever with every purchase. So find all these rockin' deals and more only at ChicagoRadioDeals.com. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer,
we have renowned law professor Richard Epstein on at 6:36 to talk about the Scalia vacancy.
But first, let's go back into the newsroom and say good morning once again to our good friend Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, President Obama will not attend Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia's funeral on Saturday. The White House says the president will visit the Supreme Court building on Friday. Vice President Joe Biden will lead the official delegation for the funeral on Saturday. President Obama will be visiting Cuba next month. An official announcement expected to come down today. GOP presidential contender Marco Rubio says it's a bad idea.
It's not a free Cuba. And I'll tell you the problem with the Cuban government is it's not just a communist dictatorship. It is an anti-American communist dictatorship.
Rubio getting a big endorsement in South Carolina from Governor Nikki Haley.
So I wanted somebody with fight. I wanted somebody with passion. I wanted somebody that had conviction to do the right thing. But I wanted somebody humble enough that remembers that you work for all the people.
In a campaign rally yesterday, Haley saying Rubio has the conviction to fight for the United States. Toyota recalling nearly 3 million vehicles due to a seatbelt issue involving mostly its RAV4 SUV model from between July 2005 and August 2014. Apple CEO Tim Cook still refusing the FBI's demand to unlock a phone of one of the terrorists who killed 14 in San Bernardino, California. White House spokesman Josh Earnest was asked about that issue yesterday.
They are not asking Apple to redesign its product or to create a new back door to one of their products. They're simply asking for something that would have an impact on this one device.
That's not what Cook is implying. A teen is in critical condition. Another victim hospitalized after a fire on Chicago's southwest side. Governor Rauner used his second budget address to scold and threaten Democrat lawmakers over the budget impasse, but also to call on them to put aside political differences for the good of the state. A Naperville man is in serious condition after he was struck by a car. Police say the pedestrian was injured crossing Washington Street and Bailey Road yesterday afternoon. And Chicago Tribune editor Gerald Kern is retiring and will be replaced immediately by the newspaper's editorial page editor Bruce Dold. Dold earned the Pulitzer Prize for editorial writing in 1994. And this morning you're headed to Starbucks and you're ready to choose a latte. Careful, that latte you're sipping could have a lot more sugar than you think. New report from the British campaign Action on Sugar finds that one flavored drink from the popular coffee chain, like a latte, could contain as much as 25 teaspoons of sugar. Chicago sports. Rookie sensation Artemi Panarin scored a hat trick. Blackhawks over the Rangers last night, 5-3. The news, a service of Fix Auto Collision Centers. Well, you crash your car. It's not a problem. You've got a friend in the business with Fix Auto Collision Centers with locations throughout Chicago. Call Fix Auto Collision Centers today. 800-INFO-FIX, 800-INFO-FIX. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Sean Hannity is feeling the burn.
I'm with them. I want Bernie to get the nomination. I'm all for it. So I'm going to be nice to Bernie.
Are you saying that you're feeling the burn?
I'm feeling the burn, baby, burn. Little disco inferno. I'm feeling it for Bernie. I think Bernie would be great just because it would be so entertaining to watch Hillary lose, but be careful what you wish for, Hannity.
The Sean Hannity Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
Wheaton's Marriage and Family Therapy degree offers training from faculty who contribute to the Illinois licensure standards. Apply by March 1st at wheaton.edu/therapy.
On November 2nd, Obama signed into law a controversial budget bill. Now, this massive legislation eliminates two of the most popular Social Security claiming strategies. Here's Social Security advisor Mike Gibbons with a Social Security update.
Effective May 1st, the change to the restricted application claim will be draconian. This powerful strategy allows workers who reach full retirement age to file a restricted application for spousal benefits while deferring your benefit for a bigger payout later. The new rule still allows for deferred personal benefits, but not the collection of spousal benefits in the meantime. This window closes to those turning 62 after January 1st, 2016. This new law is a game changer, and the clock is ticking.
Thanks, Mike. Visit ssupdate.com to receive your free personal Social Security analysis. Learn how these changes affect you. That's ssupdate.com for your free Social Security analysis, or call Gibbons Financial Group at 773-218-4773.
Securities offered through LPL Financial. Member FINRA SIPC.
6:36. Let's get an update on the roads in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center. The latest now with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. On Chicago's north side, the normally messy intersection of Fullerton, Damon, and Elston, well, it's even messier now. The traffic lights are out. It's a real mess in that area. Big congestion all around Fullerton, Damon, and Elston. On the outbound side of the Bishop Ford Freeway, the ramp to eastbound 8094 is closed due to a rollover semi-crash. There are delays from 159th continuing on the southbound 394 at Glenwood Dyer Road, where drivers are turning around, but you can take eastbound 159th to southbound Torrance to get to 8094. The inbound Ford Freeway has delays from before 103rd to the Rhine. It's about 18 minutes, 8094 to the Rhine. Edens, 24 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 19. The Kennedy, 24 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 21. The Ike now 43 minutes, Thorndale to downtown, outbound 33. The Stevenson is 44 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, and the Ryan 1995 to downtown. Traffic Service of Illinois Partners for Clean Air. With so much to do going on, or so much going on in and around the city, imagine going in on public transit. You'll save time, save money, and reduce air pollution. Learn to breathe easy and save easy with Illinois Partners for Clean Air at cleantheair.org. Traffic answers when you need them most. Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the AirComfort.com Weather Center, AirComfort.com, 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Cloudy and increasingly windy today, a high of 39, 25 at O'Hare. Next news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by The Lou Bridges Show, a show about the truth of the foreclosure crisis. Saturday mornings at 8 on AM 560, The Answer.
If you're talking about it, I'll be talking about it. Dennis Prager here. Join me this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, President Obama is making Republicans' job much easier in opposing any nominee that he would level up by deciding not to attend Justice Scalia's funeral on Saturday. Kind of a rather classless move. I think it's being perceived appropriately, and one that just fosters resentment and allows Republicans to dig in and point out, why should we accommodate this guy?
Well, it perpetuates a stereotype, too, that, President Obama keeps saying we need unity, we need people to come together, and then he does this. And I want to know, what is the pressing issue? What is so important that's happening on Saturday that he cannot attend his funeral? And the White House yesterday had no answer. They just said, well, he and Michelle will be attending, when he lies in repose on Friday, they'll attend the wake, and then Vice President Joe Biden and Jill, his wife, will attend the services on Saturday. Like, everything's fine here, folks. Nothing to see here. Move on.
Well, to the matter of the politics of replacing a Supreme Court justice, filling that vacancy, and it is, again, a political matter because politicians are involved. So the idea that one side or the other is playing politics, the other side is not, is just silliness. Scalia actually wrote on this topic about the kind of person he would want as a successor. He wrote, avoid tall building lawyers, especially ones who work in skyscrapers in New York. Find someone who did not go to law school at Harvard or Yale, which is a great thing for a Harvard grad to say. Look for a candidate from the Southwest. Consider an evangelical Christian, because Scalia noted there is not a single evangelical Christian on the court. That's coming from a Catholic. So I don't think Scalia is bothered at all by the preening of politicians and the back and forth. He never was as a Supreme Court justice. Why would he be surprised that the politicians are behaving down to the level that he expected them to behave in his absence? But I love the fact no Harvard or Yale grad. I think that's right. For more on this, we're joined by a colleague of Justice Scalia's when he was at University of Chicago, and really one of the most important legal thinkers in the country. I became familiar with Professor Epstein like right after I got out of school, right before I went to law school. You remember his book, Simple Rules for a Complex World, of course, Amy?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Principles for Free Society. He very much, like Scalia, deep intellectual thinker, philosophical thinker, but also a practical thinker, too, in terms of constitutional law. We had him at the University of Chicago for nearly 4 decades before, like everyone else from Illinois, he left. And now he is a professor of law.
Was it the high taxes?
I don't know. We're going to ask him. Now he's a professor of law at NYU. Richard Epstein, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Well, I have not left Chicago. I still live there, and I still teach every spring quarter at the law school, and I spend most of my summers in residence there. So I am a man of divided loyalties. Emeritus status at one place leaves you to retire. So as I like to joke about it, before I retired, I had 2 jobs. Now I have 3.
Very good. Glad you're enjoying your golden years.
Yeah. Well, yes. No, I work hard. Look, one of the things you discover as you get a little bit older is that some of your friends aren't so fortunate. They've had illnesses and reversals of one kind or another. They've just given up the ghost. Every morning I wake up happy to go to work, and I say, I just don't know how much longer this is going to continue, so I have to take every possible advantage of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we need you around as long as possible with providing your scholarship and your insights. So why don't we start with your relationship with Scalia, perhaps going back to the time you were, he was at University of Chicago during the part of the time you were there.
Okay, sure. Well, I came to the University of Chicago before he did. I arrived in 1972 after teaching for 4 years at the University of Southern California. And Nino had a very different kind of career. He basically practiced for several years, taught at the University of Virginia. Then he worked in the Ford administration as the head of the Office of Legal Counsel, which is an administrative job, the kind of thing I've never had. And then when the Ford administration was beaten by Jimmy Carter, he's looking for a job, and he spent some time at the AEI, and he comes through in grand style to the University of Chicago to give a job talk. And the first time I saw him was probably in the spring of 1977, and he was still working in his own mind for the Office of Legal Counsel, because the talk he gave was on executive privilege and why it's important that the president preserve his prerogatives from everybody else. And it was actually a very interesting and very memorable talk. Anything that he did was memorable because he always worked on a kind of a grand scaffold. He didn't paint little pointillist drawings. He covered the entire sides of walls. And what he did is he simply said that you can't run a system of separation of powers if the Congress could always reduce the president to some kind of an errand by forcing him to testify. And what he made so clear in his own mind was he said every Republican president, every Democratic president has always taken this position, and the Congress, whether Democratic or Republican, tends to go the other way. And he became deeply convinced of the rightness of his position and defended it with a kind of a litigator's passion that you rarely see in jobs talks. I mean, my profession at the academic level has no obligation to make decisions, so many people say, well, on the one hand or on the other hand, and then decide which hand is stronger. But Justice Scalia did not come to the world that way. I mean, he was a man who had very strong visions. They were heavily influenced by the 3 years he had at the Harvard Law School, and they were basically made much more solid by working in the administration. As a matter of fact, I used to tease him, and I still think it's to some extent true, is Justice Scalia was too comfortable with the administrative state because he had been part of it. Folks like myself who've never worked in government tend to be even more suspicious of it. He sees some good guys and some bad guys. I tend to see a lot of very dubious characters on both sides of the spectrum.
But Justice Scalia was such a vivid writer in his opinions and his dissents. Is there anything that he wrote that will stick with you that you remember?
Oh, everybody remembers him. I mean, well, let me put it this way. I think the phrase that's the most famous is the one which he saw as talking about cost-benefit analysis in administrative law. And Justice Breyer is a very different kind of writer, also a Harvard graduate, 2 years later than Scalia. And he is a jurist of happy endings. He knows what it is that he wants. He loves the administrative state. And if he thinks cost-benefit analysis are rational, then they're always required under the statute. And Justice Scalia reads this very complicated statutes on admissions, and he makes a little remark. He says, nobody secretes elephants in mouse holes, meaning it's such a great line. I mean, because it captures what he believed about statutory interpretation. That is, this was not a situation, he said, in which when you're talking about this huge apparatus, because to do a cost-benefit analysis requires eons of information, just scads of stuff, that they don't use it expressly, and then somehow they want to do it. Now, one of the reasons why Justice Breyer wanted to do it is if you start looking at these air admission standards and you discover that there's no cost-benefit analysis, then when do you stop? I mean, because if you assume that various kinds of pollutions like benzene are bad, less is always better. But each time you go down another notch, it turns out the cost of doing it is just huge. So, I mean, you want to go from 100 to 10, it's going to cost you, say, 20. You want to go from 10 to 1, it's going to cost you another 40. You want to go from 1 to 0.1, it's going to cost you 60. Well, where do you quit? And it can't be, well, you quit when the firm is bankrupt, because at that point you couldn't regulate two pollutants. And so, you have a fundamentally irrational statute. And Justice Scalia's attitude is, I'm not going to save these guys from their stupidities. Let them redraft it. But what was interesting about it is he and I actually differed on this. My own attitude would be I would strike many of these statutes down on the grounds of their irrationality rather than trying to make sense of it. And indeed, if you just simply had a rule which says we will set a schedule for the amount of pollutions that you admit or that people start to breathe, and you figure out where on the schedule you want to be, you would get a vastly cheaper and a vastly more efficient system. But that's the difference between the two of us. I don't come to law as an inside man. I'm basically an institutional arrangements and structural guy. I'm much more influenced by law and economics than he was. As I like to say sometimes, he went to law school 8 years before I did, but there was an intellectual revolution in the middle, and he was never really committed to the modern techniques of analysis. He was much more a traditionalist. He learned why he did not like the New Deal. He learned why he did not like the earlier pre-New Deal judicial decisions. And so what happened is he was a much more of a traditionalist on his willingness to upset things than somebody like myself. And we used to argue about that and debate it. And the most famous of these debates took place by accident at the Cato Institute when he was still on the Court of Appeals, in which he gave a speech, great speech it was, in fact, about on the merits of the frying pan. Yeah. That is, instead of being people like Richard Epstein diving over the edge and getting themselves really burnt, he said, just do it. And what was so good about the speech, and the one he did on originalism in 1989 for the Taft Lecture at Cincinnati, is that he realized that there were weaknesses to his own intellectual position, but he just thought that they were weaker than those on the other side.
But now on that speech, the talk at Cato, the debate at Cato, the frying pan, I remember Scalia talking about the need to establish a constitutional ethos for economic liberty, and that differs a little bit from the law and economics school. Just distinguish that.
Well, what happens is an ethos means what you try to do is to get comedy and understanding, but you don't have any judicial constraints which shuts everybody down. And if you take my view that private property receives explicit protection, that one of the elements of private property is the ability to dispose of it in voluntary transactions, all of a sudden the state has to show good reason as to why it's going to shut this operation down. So it's not just a matter of ethos and preference, it's a matter of law. Now, in a decent society, the ethos should do 90% of the work, and the law should do 10% of the work. One of the reasons why the constitutional issues have gotten larger today is the polarization inside Washington is enormous, and essentially everything that the progressive stands for is a repudiation of everything that the Constitution desires. So you really have to turn cartwheels in order to get rid of this stuff. And the great rival of Justice Scalia, although they only overlapped for 4 years, was Justice William J. Brennan. He was so clever that he could always find a way to rule a statute constitutional. There was always some kind of an exception to it. And indeed, I agree with Scalia on this. Every time I see Justice Brennan maim a statute or maul a constitutional provision, I say that's not the way it is. Scalia would never do that. I mean, his attitude, derived from Oliver Wendell Holmes, was if Congress is going to send me down the road to perdition, my job as a judge is to accurately construe their intentions and to give their words their full effect. Whereas there was no statute that Bill Brennan did not think that he could defeat by a little sleight of hand.
Now, on the politics of this, do you agree with Scalia as he reflected on a possible successor? Avoid the Harvard law graduates and the Yale law graduates. Avoid the tall building lawyers, especially in New York.
Well, in New York, I'm on the fourth floor, so I certainly agree with that part.
Yes, exactly.
But, I mean, look, it was interesting. I think you're quoting from Obergefell and the gay rights case.
Yes.
And he didn't quite say that. He said, look, if we were just looking at legal text and trying to solve it, essentially political differences should melt away, and it wouldn't matter where you came from. But if you look at this particular world and you realize that everything is a matter of hard politics and balancing and trading, he says, I don't want all the trades to come out of New Haven and Cambridge. And on that point, I think he's absolutely right. The one point I would differ with him is he came out of Harvard.
Right. So he knows of what he speaks.
Yes. What happens is it's not that he came out of Harvard. This is a class difference. If you want to figure out where he came from Elmhurst. and he came from the Catholic school tradition.
Yeah.
And so he goes to Harvard. The man, when he's young, is an absolute whiz. I actually took a moment to reflect on the picture of the 1960 Harvard Law Review with their 59 men and one woman, and then you looked at their list of guys who were actually on that class, and many of them went on to extraordinary distinction. And I think, they came from all sorts of backgrounds in different kinds of places, and Scalia was one of them. He was, I think, extremely pugnacious and very strongly opinionated. The word is passionate. One of the things that you knew about Nino when you got into an argument with him is that sometimes you were uncomfortable about what he said, even though you agreed with him, because your passions could never quite rise to the level of his. And the sort of furious rate of verbal eloquence that came out of this man's mouth was really quite astonishing. But he was, at his best, a truly great kind of stylist. And on the institutional issues, sometimes dead correct. This decision on the special prosecutor case, the lone dissent in Morrison and Olson, was one of the great opinions of all time, prophetic in its implications and passionate in its conclusions. And he understood that there are lots of different dangers.
Professor Epstein?
Yeah.
Real quick, before we have to go, were you offended or are you offended that President Obama is not going to be attending his funeral?
Oh, I mean, Obama was also at Chicago. This man has bad taste beyond all limits on so many things. I mean, it's not just that. It's everything he does has the following habit. I think you mentioned it in the lead-in to the show. I will pat you with one hand, he says, and then stab you in the back with another. It's inappropriate at this particular point to raise hackles. What the Republicans should do, what the president should do. He's not a very good constitutional lawyer, I have to say. He's a pretty effective politician. I wish he would understand the difference and stop constantly reminding us that he always speaks ex cathedra, so everything he says is a matter of anointed truth, whether it be on economics or on law. It's pretty hard to take at this particular point in time. His skills do not wear well.
Professor Richard Epstein, a real pleasure. You should get it. Your latest book, I think, is Classical Liberal Constitution.
Yep.
That's worth reading. Principles of a Free Society, Simple Rules for a Complex World. Professor Richard Epstein, New York University School of Law, University of Chicago for 40 years. Thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure, Dan.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Bad Taste with No Limits. That should be my new band name.
I love Richard Epstein.
I love me some him. I keel for him. Hey, today rather cloudy but windy, a high near 40 degrees. And tomorrow very warm but very windy, damaging winds possible, and a high near 60 degrees. Wow, anything out of the ordinary on the roadways? Here's Jim Telemonte.
I'm not worthy to follow that, Amy and Dan. North side of Chicago, real traffic mess around Fullerton and Damon. The traffic lights are out there. Also at Webster and Elston nearby. The Edens, 24 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 20. Kennedy, 33 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 27. The Ike, 45 minutes. Thorndale to the Loop, outbound 35. There's a crash at Central, the two left lanes. The Stevenson, 45 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound Bishop Ford, the ramp to eastbound 8094 has reopened. That's traffic on AM 560, The Answer.
If you want to get out of town and spend your money in the United States, and I suggest going to the Ritz-Carlton Dove Mountain Resort in Arizona. It's located just outside of Tucson. There are direct flights from Midway and O'Hare, and it's really a slice of heaven. It's cradled by 5 mountain ranges. There are endless outdoor activities, I should say, like tennis, horseback riding, 20 miles of world-class hiking and biking trails, which are on property, 27-hole golf course designed by Jack Nicklaus, 3 pools, an adults-only one as well. So really, if you want to get away, whether you want to golf or go to the spa, because, ladies, the spa's rated number 3 in North America. It's breathtaking and surrounded by the Sonoran Desert. Sunshine 350 days a year. Did I mention that? And, of course, there's no shortage of things to do, whether you're looking for family adventure or a romantic getaway. The Ritz-Carlton Dove Mountain is unique in all the world. Special rates and packages are available for your spring break. Visit ritzcarlton.com/Dove Mountain for all the details. That's ritzcarlton.com/Dove Mountain.
I'm Lou Dobbs. Mexico raises interest rates as crude oil prices fall. The administration has a new cybersecurity commission. Midwestern home building down 13%, but Wall Street a triple-digit rally. Those stories next.
I believe in the American entrepreneur. The small business owner is truly the backbone of the American economy. Hi, I'm Steve Cooper, co-founder of Ursop.com, the entrepreneur rollover stock ownership plan. My partner Karen Franklin and I started Ursop.com over 15 years ago because we're on a mission to help as many people as possible open and run their own businesses, simply, quickly, and easily by using their own retirement funds. Then 3, 4, 5 years later, put the money back and have the corporation carry on by itself. Then you'll have the business and the security of the retirement funds too. We recently worked with a gentleman who accomplished this in only 9 months. Ursop.com can set it up for you in about 2 weeks. It's pre-approved by the IRS and it's totally legal. We've helped thousands of people achieve the dream of being their own boss. Give us a call and let's talk about how we can help you too. Call 866-MY-URSOP. That's 866-MYERSOP. Invest in yourself. Call 866-MY-URSOP. 866-MY-URSOP.
Mexico's government raising interest rates, cutting government spending, trying to offset the falling peso and declining oil revenue. The Bank of Mexico raising interbank interest rates to 3 3/4%. Mexico announced it's dropping its daily dollar auctions. Tom Donilon, President Obama's former national security advisor, to lead a newly appointed commission on cybersecurity. Former IBM chairman Sam Palmisano will serve as vice chairman as the panel tries to end computer hacking of government networks and those in the private sector. This winter's cold weather cutting into home building in the Northeast and South. The Commerce Department reporting housing starts in the Midwest fared worst with a sharp decline of almost 13%. And Wall Street with another rally, its third in a row. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight at 7 and 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Hey, maybe you've considered a private school in the past but figured you couldn't afford it. Well, if that's the case, we want to tell you about halfpriceschools.com. At halfpriceschools.com, you can find dozens of local private schools that are offering vouchers for a full year of tuition at, you guessed it, half the price. There's no catch. So find a school near you, purchase the tuition voucher, and prepare to send your child off to school this fall. It's that simple. Halfpriceschools.com has schools located all across the Chicagoland area. Too many to list, but they're all over, South Side, North Side, and in the city. This might make private schools a real option for your family for the first time, but do not wait. These vouchers will sell out. Visit halfpriceschools.com today. That's halfpriceschools.com. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer,
our friend Juan Williams, Fox News political analyst, joins us to talk South Carolina primary and Nevada caucus. That's at 7:07.
But first, let's go back into the newsroom and say good morning once again to Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, here are the stories that we are watching today. Democrat presidential candidate Hillary Clinton pitches police reform here in Chicago. 2 are hurt in a Southwest Side fire. Protesters stage a walk-in at 200 CPS schools. We'll get reaction from a Chicago Teachers Union vice president. 5 teens face charges over threats made at social media at a suburban high school. Governor Rauner gave no ground to Democrats during his budget address. We'll get a review of that address from AM 560's political reporter David Stewart. A cloudy and increasingly windy day ahead, a high of 39. Complete look at weather after Fox News. And WIND Chicago News Time is 7 o'clock.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lisa Brady. President Obama will head to Cuba next month, an exclamation point on his efforts to normalize relations, which critics say is not helping the Cuban people. Fox News Radio's John Decker live at the White House.
The last and only president to visit Cuba was Calvin Coolidge in 1928. The White House has determined that Cuba in the last year has improved its human rights record and is taking steps to open its doors more fully to American business. But critics, including Republican presidential candidate Ted Cruz, a Cuban American, argue that Cuba remains an oppressive regime.
So his policy concerning Cuba and Iran both have parallels where he's allowing billions of dollars to go to tyrants.
Cruz at a CNN town hall last night. The White House claims the president's visit will end a lingering remnant of the Cold War. Lisa?
Thanks, John. Ted Cruz takes the lead in one new national poll with a 2-point edge over Donald Trump, 28 to 26%. The NBC Wall Street Journal poll has Marco Rubio a distant third at 17%. But he's picked up the endorsement of South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley.
I want a president that's going to fight back on the last 8 years that we've had to deal with, and also going to make sure they hold a conscience to every Republican to make sure they're doing what Republicans were meant to do, which is balance our budgets, reduce our debt.
Saturday is Republican primary day in South Carolina and caucus day for Democrats in Nevada. Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders in another tight race. They'll both attend a town hall event tonight in Vegas. Toyota is recalling nearly 3 million small SUVs because the seatbelts could fail in a crash.
RAV4s from almost a decade will be recalled. That is
There's more than 1 million in the U.S. Toyota says there are only 2 known cases of the seatbelt severing.
Fox Radio's Alistair Wanklin, the Japanese automaker, offering a free fix for the problem. Dow futures are higher. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Skies are cloudy and we have 25 degrees. 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A teen is in critical condition. Another victim hospitalized after a fire on Chicago's southwest side. The blaze began last night in a home in the 6,000 block of South Troy. The cause under investigation. This morning, 5 suburban teens are accused of making threats on social media, and that may have caused several students to miss class at Huntley High School. The juveniles were charged with disorderly conduct. Governor Rauner gave no ground to Democrats during his budget address Wednesday, and the way out of the 7-month-long budget impasse is not clear to Democrats, but very clear to the governor, as AM 560's David Stewart reports.
Governor Rauner gave lawmakers an ultimatum demanding that they negotiate on his reform agenda or give him the knife to make spending cuts.
If you're not willing to do that, then give the executive branch the flexibility to reallocate resources and make reductions to state spending as necessary.
Senate President John Cullerton says Rauner's budget is actually out of balance, and the emergency power he wants would rob pensions and local governments.
That's what he wants to do. That's what our bill does. That's a bad idea.
House Speaker Mike Madigan says a budget deal is possible as soon as Rauner uncouples the budget from his anti-middle class reform agenda. David Stewart, Chicago.
Chicago Teachers Union officials say a local school district not addressing needs of teachers and students. The organization put together a series of walk-ins yesterday at close to 200 schools. CTU Vice President Jesse Sharkey.
The purpose is to draw attention to the fact that these cuts will devastate our schools. We need to defend our schools. We're not the problem. The problem is people who won't pass a budget, who won't fund public education.
Chicago public school leaders responded to the action by sending letters home with parents and staff saying principals are to not allow any strangers into CPS buildings. Chicago sports, Blackhawks over the Rangers 5-3, a hat trick for Artemi Panarin. They also scored a season-high 4 power play goals. Men's college basket saw St. John's dump DePaul 80-65. Illinois State a winner over Indiana State. Loyola topped Northern Iowa. And Southern Illinois a win over Bradley. The news service of Jewel Osco. Enjoy a restaurant quality meal at home with Jewel's P.F. Chang's meal deal. Get a P.F. Chang's entree, appetizer, and rice side dish, all for just $9.99. That's extra savings of $2 when you buy all 3. Look for this great buy in Jewel Osco's frozen aisles. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Each year, the month of March is all about the madness.
He's a whack job. He's a wacko.
This year, as the number of candidates dwindles and the delegate count climbs, the remaining candidates will meet for one final debate. On March 10th, and AM 560 is hosting the final debate watch party of the primary season. On Thursday, March 10th at Austin's Fuel Room in Libertyville. Tickets are just $25 and include an all-you-can-eat buffet. Visit 560theanswer.com/March. That's 560theanswer.com/March. Sponsored in part by Black Rhino Concealment.
Winter weather is here, and this season's roller coaster ride and temperatures can be especially taxing on your business's mechanical HVAC system. That's why it's important to schedule a comprehensive review of your system today with Air Comfort, Chicagoland's leading mechanical professionals. For more than 80 years, Air Comfort has maintained hundreds of businesses' HVAC systems throughout Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana. Why do they trust their mechanical systems to Air Comfort? It's simple. Because they understand that Air Comfort has the best trained and highly skilled team of award-winning technicians. That's why Air Comfort is recognized as an MSCA Star Contractor, a designation achieved by only 2% of contractors nationwide. With a large service fleet of more than 80 fully equipped vehicles, chances are that an Air Comfort technician is nearby. Schedule your system check by calling now, 708-345-1900, or online at aircomfort.com.
When elderly family require care, you insist on local medical professionals with specialized training in home service and nursing. Alliance Home Service is a leading family alternative to nursing home and institutional care. It's critical to ask the right questions when matching a caregiver to your loved one to maintain the most positive lifestyle for your entire family. Alliance Home Service is among a select group of Chicagoland companies providing in-home, non-medical care such as hygiene, medication reminders, activities and companionship, and medical care. All caregivers have the highest level of training and expertise. You'll experience the cost efficiency of in-home care as well as the level of caring you expect from family. Call founder and registered nurse Linda Weiler at 866-227-3459 or alliancecaregiver.com for no obligation family care consultation. Alliance Home Service, our family caring for your family. That's 866-227-3459 or alliancecaregiver.com.
This is an announcement for all people who want to take a risk-free challenge to whiten their teeth in 5 minutes using clinically proven power swabs. This risk-free challenge is for people whose smile has been yellowed by coffee, tea, or smoking. It's so effective, we challenge you to try it for 5 minutes to see how white your smile could be. If lines are busy, try again. Dial 1-800-663-1592. That's 1-800-663-1592. 1-800-663-1592.
Uber is an app that helps you make extra money just for driving your car. And because it's totally flexible, you don't have to quit your day job to make more money, because you can drive and earn whenever you want. There are 3 simple steps to start making money. First, sign up for free on your phone. Second, answer a few questions and get approved. And third, start driving. So, what are you waiting for? Sign up today at drivewithuber.com. That's drivewithuber.com.
7:08 in our Chicago RadioDeals.com traffic center. The latest with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. On Chicago's north side, traffic lights are out at Fullerton, Damon, and Elston. It's a real traffic mess. Eden's inbound slow, 2E to the junction. 24 minutes, Lake Hook to Montrose, outbound 20. The Kennedy, now 38 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. Express saved nothing, outbound 31 minutes. The Eisenhower, 56 minutes, Thorndale to the post office. 43 from Manheim, outbound 35 to Thorndale. Rollover crash at Central, blocking 2 left lanes. Stevenson, 46 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound fun. Ryan is 27 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 26 minutes, I-80 to the merge. Bishop 427. The outbound Ford freeway is now clear. Northbound Tri-State slow from the Stevenson to 47th and from the Reagan tollway to North Avenue. Southbound 53 slow Beesterfield to Thorndale after a crash. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, aircomfort.com. 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
High winds with gusts past 50 miles per hour this morning into tomorrow afternoon and will be locally damaging. Cloudy and windy today and tonight, high 39 and a low 37. Winds gusting past 50 miles per hour tomorrow with some sun, high of 57. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
Clouds and 25 right now. Next news at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by American Embroidery and Screen Printing, now offering free artwork for new customers. Call 630-766-2825.
Good morning. Welcome to your Thursday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
The people of Illinois are sick and tired of this. They want us to work together.
San Bernardino, very important investigation to us. We still have one of those killer's phones that we have not been able to open. Right? It's been over 2 months now. We're still working on it.
Ladies and gentlemen, if we elect Marco Rubio, every day will be a great day in America.
It's tremendously encouraging to be leading the field nationally. I think as a result.
Did you ever think you'd be here?
Look, that was always the plan. Look, that's how you win. You got to get to first place to win.
I have never done well in the Wall Street Journal poll. I think somebody at Wall Street Journal doesn't like me, but I never do well with the Wall Street Journal polls.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So a lot of action on the presidential campaign trail yesterday, both on the Democrat side with the Nevada caucus on Saturday, and of course dueling town halls on the Republican side with the South Carolina primary on Saturday.
Yeah, Donald Trump. I wonder if he did this to rehearse for tonight's CNN town hall.
Well, he does these things every day.
Town halls? Sits down and takes questions?
Yeah,
from
more
the
or less.
audience?
Yeah, and every media outlet covers them live.
Well, he fell flat on his face when they asked him about his national advisors and some security advisors who he would have, and he just went,
They're going to be the best people. The best people.
How did you know that was his answer?
He's got top men on the case, Amy. Top men. Also, Ted Cruz responding to a cease and desist letter that Donald Trump sent threatening a defamation lawsuit if he didn't take down a campaign commercial that Cruz has up. Where Trump is being interviewed by Tim Russert, and this was back a decade or so ago, maybe a little bit longer, where Trump regales Tim Russert with how pro-choice he is. Ted Cruz responding to the cease and desist letter he received from Donald Trump, probably the wrong play against the guy who's argued 9 cases before the U.S. Supreme Court, and Ted Cruz gives this in return.
By threatening that if we will not pull down the ad, that Mr. Trump will seek immediate legal action to prevent the continued broadcast of this ad and to hold me jointly and severally liable to the fullest extent of the law for any damages resulting therefrom. You know, I have to say to Mr. Trump, you have been threatening frivolous lawsuits for your entire adult life. Even in the annals of frivolous lawsuits, this takes the cake. So, Donald, I would encourage you, if you want to file a lawsuit challenging this ad, claiming it is defamation, file the lawsuit. It is a remarkable contention that an ad that plays video of Donald Trump speaking on national television is somehow defamation. The operative words in that ad come from Donald Trump's own mouth.
And my favorite part is he said he would lead the deposition himself, that he would represent himself as an attorney and question Donald Trump.
Yeah, that would be a fun deposition.
Oh, that would be must-see.
I think that's something that Ted Cruz's response to the Donald Trump cease and desist letter is something that even Juan Williams could get behind in terms of Ted Cruz. Isn't that right, Juan Williams, Fox News political analyst who joins us now? Thanks, Juan.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Good morning. What did you think about that little back and forth between Cruz and Trump over Trump's hurt feelings?
Wildly entertaining. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's like a drama, a soap opera. Every day a twist and a turn, or as the world turns, or something. But it is so ridiculous. I mean, it is. If you're asking me about the merits of the suit, ridiculous. And I think that Cruz would celebrate his victory in court. And I think he would use it as a platform for more drama on the stage. But if you're asking me about a presidential campaign where I think, we should be talking about serious national and international issues and demonstrating competence, wow, are we in a different universe or what?
And this is the 7th time Donald Trump has threatened to sue Ted Cruz. And, this separates Donald Trump from the regular people, because regular people, we don't have money. We can't afford attorneys to get involved in lawsuits.
To file frivolous lawsuits?
No, we can't. And he's an elitist, and he's just a big bully. And do you think it will ever stop now that Ted Cruz has put him in his place?
Well, I don't think Cruz has put him in his place, Amy. I really don't. I think that, in fact, there are lots of people who like the idea that Donald Trump is pushing back on Ted Cruz. And don't forget, this brings to the forefront, to the attention of us all, remember the charges against Ted Cruz using questionable, if not unscrupulous, tactics against Ben Carson in Iowa, and charges. I mean, how many times did we hear on the stage last Saturday night people call Ted Cruz a liar? And that was coming from not only Trump, but that was coming from Bush. It's coming all over the place. Liar, liar, liar. So I think, in terms of, I hate to always go back to this, but that media narrative or story, there are lots of people who have questions about Cruz, and Donald Trump is now saying that he's standing up to Ted Cruz. Now, I happen to agree with you. I think Trump is a big bully and trying to intimidate Cruz. But the larger story may be that he sees an opportunity to remind people about Cruz's questionable behavior.
Well, and Cruz has responded to both Trump and Rubio, I think effectively so, saying they don't want to talk about the record, so they just call me a liar. He's got Trump in his own words on one of the many issues Trump has done a 180 on.
Right.
And with respect to Rubio, he has an ad up with Rubio in his own words on his, support essentially for the president's executive action on DACA. Rubio did support in-state tuition for illegal immigrants when he was a member of the Florida state legislature. So, you can call Cruz a liar, but this is the record, and calling him a liar doesn't change that record.
No. I think the question is about Cruz's tactics, Cruz's strategy, and you're right. It's not as if they're clean hands anywhere in this mess.
Right.
But I'm just pointing out to you that I think that there might be some genius to the madness on Trump's part here in terms of what he wants the voters to be thinking about next Saturday when they go to the polls in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And when they go to the polls in South Carolina, now the governor, Nikki Haley, has spoken, and she is going to be backing Marco Rubio. Do you think that'll move the needle at all for him?
Not much. I think he's already got Senator Tim Scott. But what really struck me about this, Amy, was I know how hard Jeb Bush was working to get Nikki Haley. So while I think, I don't think endorsements at this point mean a whole lot, but I think she's influential. I'm not disrespecting her in the least. I do think that it's telling that Jeb Bush, after all the money spent, he's got the most ads up on air because he's got the most money. And after his courtship of Nikki Haley, unfailing and going on for months, that he couldn't seal that deal, and that here comes Rubio. It must be galling to him that the young man who he was thinking was his mentor has suddenly surpassed him and now become the establishment candidate. That's what Haley's endorsement suggests to me.
Yeah, and it seemed like Jeb was a little bit ruffled yesterday, kind of got into...
he died a little inside, yeah.
I think that's right, Amy. I think you got it. Emotionally, something happened to that fighter at that moment.
Well, he had a little bit of a problem in his own town hall with some of the attendees, so that didn't seem to come off particularly well. But the real question is, do you change the dynamics of this race unless and until the field winnows some more? Trey Gowdy essentially made the point that you don't, that the field needs to winnow. But you have Kasich, who's not giving much consideration to South Carolina, and Jeb, who's got a lot of cash. They can certainly carry this through Super Tuesday, and by then it may be too late to stop Trump.
I think that's right. I've been slow to come to this, John, but I think if you had to, we do this thing on Fox Candidate Casino, and if you had to bet money right now, John, wouldn't you bet on Trump to?
I'm Dan.
Wouldn't you bet on Trump to win this?
Yeah, I think it's more likely than not that he's the nominee. I
don't think so.
You have to look at the numbers.
But this new national poll, I think that's going to set him back, and he's just going to start to panic. And tonight, when he's in that CNN town hall meeting, he's going to have to answer questions. He can't just have quick sound bites, and he can't attack anybody because nobody else is going to be on stage with him.
I don't.
He's going to have to answer questions.
He answers questions. He answers questions all the time. Why does he have to present details tonight when he hasn't presented for the last 8 months? And he's got
maybe voters are starting to look for that.
He's got an 18-point lead in South Carolina and double-digit leads in most of the other states going into Super Tuesday. I don't see one national poll as unraveling Trump with a 6-person field. Juan, what's your take?
I agree. I think it's one poll, and I think it's an outlier. It certainly isn't in keeping with what we're seeing from most polls, and it's certainly not what we're seeing from South Carolina, which is the issue at the moment, Dan. So what you're going to have is Trump is going to have added momentum, I think, coming out of South Carolina and set him up for the rest of the South. So the question becomes, is the Wall Street Journal poll, NBC, really a precursor that there are more polls like that coming? But for the moment, and especially given that we're in South Carolina, I just don't see it as a game changer.
Now, on the other side, Bernie is giving Hillary all kinds of problems. Are hookers for Hillary going to be enough
I knew you'd get to that.
her. I mean, are they gonna?
Well, it's a large contingency in Nevada. It's a big business, and it's legal.
Well, can I get my question?
Yes, you can.
Will the hookers put Hillary on top in Nevada?
Oh, my God. There's so many lewd responses that I could offer to that question.
Please do.
No, I will.
It's the world's oldest profession. Come on. It's all right. But, I heard my aunt lives there, and she said they're taking them all. If they don't have a ride, they're going to pick them up on a bus, feed them lunch, and if they need to, breakfast, and take them to the polling place.
Just the hookers or everybody?
No, the hookers.
Oh,
yeah.
Of course. So, Juan, how does Hillary fare in Nevada?
So the thought is, look, this is really the first test of the Latino vote in the country. And, of course, it's almost all Democratic at this point, especially given the kind of arguments over immigration we've been hearing on the Republican side. But the energy is no doubt with Bernie, right? So the young people who are just now tapping into the whole drama of Hillary versus Bernie, they're hearing negative stuff about Hillary, who's being absolutely beaten up, not only by Bernie, but by the Republicans who don't want to face her in the fall. And then the young people say, you know what, Bernie's got a message, and his message is anti-Wall Street, anti-rich, anti-the system. He's going to pay for my college tuition. He's going to make sure that there's single-payer health insurance. Bernie has, I think, the momentum, no question, but I don't know if he can match the unions, the infrastructure, the money that Hillary has spent in the long term. And remember, you got the superdelegates and all that. And one final point, Dan, it's a caucus in Nevada, not just a simple vote. I don't know if the kind of enthusiastic young people, newcomers, understand they can't just walk in and vote. They've got to go through a process in a caucus to make their vote count. And that's why I think it might be very close, but I suspect, much like Iowa, Hillary comes out on top.
But it is worth noting, too, that we're just talking about the unions. AFL-CIO delaying their endorsement. They were on the sidelines wanting to see how this plays out a little bit longer as well.
Yeah, but if you look at, SEIU and NEA and those folks, they're already in Hillary's side. Yeah.
All right. Juan Williams, Fox News political analyst. Thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Man, I tell you, there's nowhere else in the morning I can wake up to hookers for Hillary. Thank you, guys.
Thanks. He joined us on our turnkey.pro hooker-free answer line.
Just what we did.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Today it's going to be cloudy but windy, a high near 40 degrees. And tomorrow, that's the big weather day. It's going to be very, very windy, but a lot warmer and spring-like conditions, actually, a high near 60 degrees. Any drama on the roadways? Here's Jim Telemonte.
Yes, Amy, on the north side, Fullerton, David, and Elston, that intersection is really jammed where the traffic lights are out. They're also out at Elston and Webster nearby. Eden's 29 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 24 to Kennedy. With delays starting at Cumberland. Now 46 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 31. The Eisenhower, an hour and 5 minutes. Thorndale to the post office, 52 minutes from Manheim, outbound 35 to Thorndale. Stevenson, 45 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound clear. Ryan is 27 minutes, 95th to downtown. Lakeshore Drive has southbound delays, Belmont to Fullerton and 18th to the Stevenson. Northbound Tri-State slow from the Stevenson to 47th and from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. I'm Jim Talamonte, the ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
Listen up, ladies and gentlemen. And if any of you want one-on-one time with Dan Proft, maybe you want to take a long walk on the beach, swim with him in a pool, or go golfing, here's your chance to do it. You have to come with Dan and Amy as we head to Los Cabos, Mexico. Our trip is presented by Dermatology and Plastic Surgery Associates and by Artistic Dentistry. We're leaving April 2nd, returning April 9th. The exclusive Apple Vacations price has expired, but there's still limited availability. So if you want to join us in Cabo, do it today. We're staying at the Secrets Puerto Los Cabos Golf and Spa Resort. Adults only, all-inclusive, all-suites resort. Really, this is a well-appointed resort. The rooms are fantastic. The restaurants, my friend's been there, and she told me it's wonderful. There are award-winning chefs who work there. And there's 4 bars and a cigar bar, so you can smoke cigars with Dan, too. Here's what you do. Book your trip today. Visit 560theanswer.com, keyword escape. That's 560theanswer.com, keyword escape. And pencil in your time with Dan Proft.
Are you or someone you know facing foreclosure, losing the family home? You'd be not alone. See, people, we are in the aftermath of what is being revealed to have been the greatest financial crime spree in history, perpetrated by the Wall Street investment banks smuggling and packaging mortgages, and continuing this day by the mortgage servicers that service those mortgages. I'm Lou Bridges. I have a law firm I put together. We defend foreclosure actions. We help people do strategic defaults, short sales, and modifications that include restructuring. Call us for a free consultation. We'll tell you what to look for in hiring a foreclosure defense attorney. We'll tell you some of your options. We'll give you a free consultation. But whatever you do, people, never give up the land. Fight for truth and justice. You do that, and I guarantee you'll never be alone.
Call 224-513-1231 or visit FightIllinoisForeclosures.com. That's 224-513-1231 or FightIllinoisForeclosures.com. Get real answers from a real foreclosure defense law firm.
Hi, I'm Lex Howard, CEO of Balance of Nature. I occasionally take new customer calls, and often people tell me that they have been hearing our advertisements for years. What are you waiting for? Start now and begin experiencing the benefits of Balance of Nature in your life.
With the fruities and veggies, for sure, it's my go-to for my kids. That's my mommy's security.
I don't usually eat fruits and veggies, so taking a supplement usually helps, and I can tell the difference. So, well, I just saw it like in my fingernails, toenails, things like that. They've cleared up. They were kind of brittle and breaking, and now they don't do that anymore.
Good health is only a phone call away. What are you waiting for? Don't miss your opportunity to get a free month supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
Ah, yes, the good old 9 to 5. Good stuff, huh? You can almost feel the life force getting sucked right out of you. You've always wanted to be your own boss and take control of your financial future. It's about time you contacted the franchise professional who can guide you to success. Franchising guru Meg Schmitz is your key. She's been a franchise insider for over 25 years and has started and run top-tier businesses of all kinds. She can match you with the franchise opportunity that fits your goals the best. Why would you leave that choice up to the internet? Safe to say that Mr. and Mrs. Google probably won't get to know you the way Meg will. Make an educated decision about buying a gold standard franchise that fits you like a glove. Call Meg Schmitz for your free guide to business ownership at 847-302-2601 or visit goldstandardfranchise.com for more information. Take control of your financial future and be your own franchise boss now. 847-302-2601 or goldstandardfranchise.com.
If your company needs custom metal fabrication products, then you should know AM 560 Feed the Children business benefactor Lockport Steel Fabricators. For over 7 decades, from the smallest project to major commercial construction, Lockport Steel's family of companies has excelled at manufacturing a diverse product mix, including structural steel, miscellaneous metals, aluminum extrusions, and more. Imagine the peace of mind knowing you're working with a national company that's AISC certified right here in Chicagoland. Customers know Lockport Steel focuses on getting your job done right, on time, and to exact needs and specs. Immediate turnaround service is also available. Discover why all types of major industries, including oil and gas, power generation, telecommunications, store fixtures, and commercial construction companies, trust Lockport Steel to make it happen for them. Visit lockportsteel.com or call Greg Radecki today at 815-927-4401 for a no obligation quote and consultation. Lockport Steel Fabricators, making it happen. That's lockportsteel.com.
Lately, it seems you're not feeling quite right, as if your body is working against you. Dr. Amy and Associates can help create a path to achieve optimal health. Experience personalized health care for your mind, body, and spirit at a practice that blends holistic and traditional medicine.
I was involved in a devastating head-on motorcycle accident, which left me broken, battered, and afraid. I turned to Dr. Amy and Associates to care for my broken body. With their help, I healed quickly. I was able to sleep, and the nightmare stopped. I was able to get back on the motorcycle without fear. Since they worked with my insurance, I've used them for allergy and food sensitivity testing, weight loss, massage, acupuncture, and life coaching. They use both Eastern and Western medicine and is a holistic practice like no other. I am so grateful for Dr. Amy and Associates.
Call Dr. Amy and Associates to experience a whole-person integrative approach to health and wellness. 630-980-1400 or visit dramyandassociates.com. Dr. Amy and Associates, empowering people, changing lives.
AM 560, The Answer.
So excited. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Jason Rowe, he's a senior advisor to the Marco Rubio presidential campaign, will talk about the endorsements and how Rubio is going to make a late run in South Carolina at 7:37.
But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, good morning. We have sun and clouds, 25 degrees. At 7:31, the president is expected to announce today he'll be traveling to Cuba in mid-March, the stop part of a broader trip to Latin America. A Kurdish military officer and medical officials say Islamic State militants are firing mortar shells filled with chlorine at Kurdish troops close to the Iraqi town of Sinjar. 30 fighters have been wounded so far. The Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons confirmed that in August, ISIS terrorists used mustard gas on Kurdish forces. Republican presidential candidate Ted Cruz says rival Donald Trump's threat to sue him is no surprise.
I'll confess I laughed out loud. This has not been a typical race by any sense. And I don't think anyone is surprised that Donald is threatening to sue people. He's done that most of his adult life.
At a CNN town hall event last night, the Texas senator says that Trump is suing, and that's right up his alley. Jeb Bush says he's disappointed by South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley's endorsement of Republican rival Marco Rubio.
I've lived overseas. I've done business overseas. Since I've been governor, I've gone to 89 visits overseas. It's hard for me to be lectured to by a gifted young guy who thinks that going to a committee hearing means that you know something about the world.
Former First Lady Barbara Bush arrives on the South Carolina campaign trail today to promote her son. She'll stay through Saturday's GOP primary. Toyota recalling 2.9 million sports utility vehicles, including more than 1 million here in the U.S. because seatbelts might fail. The recall covers RAV4 vehicles. Oil prices getting
but my
a bit
promise
of
to
ground,
you, if I'm the nominee,
and that's helping boost
I said he's
global
been
stock
lying because
markets.
if you say something that isn't true and you say it over and over again and you know that it's not true, there's no other word for it. And when it's about your record, you have to clear it up because if you don't, then people say, well, then it must be true. He didn't dispute it. And he's done that a number of times. We saw what he did to Dr.
Illinois Democrats over the budget impasse, but
I
also
personally know
put aside
someone
their political
who happens to be a police
for
officer.
the good of the state.
In my campaign for president today, I got the endorsement of a governor of Indian descent.
I actually don't sing music. I mean, I will.
Because
this is a strange election
season. Site that continues to drag on. And you know it's almost baseball season when there's car damage to windshields. Kyle Schwarber already doing that damage at spring training. The young Cubs slugger at batting practice yesterday, unofficially, of course. Spring training's not started in Mesa, when he smacked a ball over the fence, shattering a windshield. Cubs fan posted a picture of the aftermath on Instagram, and the team later apologized on Twitter. Chicago sports, NHL, Blackhawks over the Rangers, 5-3. Rookie sensation Artemi Panarin scored a hat trick. College hoops. It was St. John's over DePaul, Illinois State. The Redbirds knocked down the Sycamores of Indiana State. Loyola topped Northern Iowa, and Southern a winner over Bradley. The news service of Illinois Partners for Clean Air. With today's cars idling, your engine for just 10 seconds could waste more gas and money than stopping and restarting your car. Learn to breathe easy and save easy with Illinois Partners for Clean Air at cleantheair.org. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
LiveWatch helps you connect and respond up to 10 times faster in an emergency. LiveWatch has no long-term contracts. Save up to 50% off home security. Call 855-LiveWatch or visit livewatch.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing, independently owned business bank. Signature Bank listens to your story, learns about your business, and sticks with their customers. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Mick O'Rourke, co-founder, president, and CEO of Signature Bank. We founded Signature Bank in 2006 with one goal: to serve as Chicago's business bank. Now, 10 years later, we've seen that vision turn into a reality. We'd like to help your business realize all of its potential. My co-founders and I have many years of experience in commercial banking. When we learn about your business, we sit down across the table from you. When you have concerns, we pick up the phone to talk them through. We know your name and your story. At Signature Bank, when we make a commitment, we deliver.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Your company uses interior lighting 12 hours a day, 5 or more days a week. That's up to 40% of your energy costs. Now imagine huge immediate savings with worry-free replacement lights that fit in your current fluorescent fixtures. LED tube lighting with a 10-year warranty and up to 20-year useful life. Cost-conscious companies are converting now to cutting-edge revolutionary LED lighting. From factories and retail to office and residential, discover the benefits of quality manufactured LED lighting from Chicago's premier LED fluorescent replacement provider, Lights LLC. They're retrofit so there's no fixtures to replace. Made of safe, unbreakable plastic, they won't flicker and eliminate ballast buzz. Your employees will love them. To learn more, contact Lights LLC right now for a free lighting ROI analysis. Call Scott Moninger at 630-778-5002 or visit litesllc.com, 630-778-5002 or lightsllc.com. Lights is a proud Feed the Children business benefactor.
7:36 in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center with the latest. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. The inbound Kennedy now has heavy delays from Cumberland to the Burn Circle. 57 minutes O'Hare to downtown, 28 from Montrose, 23 on the Express, outbound 35 minutes to O'Hare. Eden's 29 minutes Lake Hook to Montrose, outbound 24. The Eisenhower, an hour and 5 minutes Thorndale to downtown, outbound 40 minutes. Stevenson, an hour and 2 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 40 minutes. There's a crash at Pulaski in the right lane. Ryan, 27 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State slow from the Stevenson to 47th. The Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Veterans Memorial, very slow out into the Reagan Tollway. Traffic service of Fix Auto Collision Centers. Crashed your car? You have a friend in the business with Fix Auto Collision Centers with locations throughout Chicago. Call Fix Auto Collision Centers today at 1-800-INFO-FIX. 1-800-INFO-FIX. That's 1-800-INFO-FIX. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Rather cloudy today, increasingly windy, high of 39. 26 at O'Hare. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Turnkey IT, giving you the freedom to focus on your business while they handle the technical stuff. Turnkey IT.
Your money. Find out how to keep more of it and live debt-free. Tonight on The Dave Ramsey Show, starting at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So, South Carolina primary, 48 hours from today.
And Marco Rubio celebrating. That's why the song. We're going to celebrate.
He's celebrating some endorsements, but the question is, can they translate into move in the polls for Rubio? Trey Gowdy was on Fox yesterday suggesting that, that's possible, but I think Gowdy, being very realistic about it, like the field still needs to winnow. So he was, I think, even looking beyond South Carolina. The endorsements may help. Maybe Rubio moves up a few points yet before the end of voting on Saturday night, but the field still needs to winnow. Although Rubio does have a very interesting case to make. It's a case that's frankly bigger than his campaign, bigger than the Republican primary. It's kind of rebranding the Republican Party, which is what Rubio has been trying to do, kind of the whole leadership for a new century. Listen to this riff per his endorsements.
In my campaign for president today, I got the endorsement of a governor of Indian descent who endorsed a presidential candidate of Cuban descent, and tomorrow we'll be campaigning alongside an African-American Republican senator. All three are doing that here in South Carolina.
Yeah, it's really important in terms of pushing back against the stale narrative of Hillary and the other socialists on the left who have only race and gender cards to play these days because of the implications of their policies in the last 7 years of this president. So, Rubio does have a strong case to make on that front. Does it translate into a move in South Carolina? Why don't we ask Jason Rowe, who's a senior advisor to Marco Rubio's presidential campaign. Jason, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
So the optics of what Rubio said, very strong and very important for the future of the Republican Party well beyond the 2016 campaign. But if he doesn't move from the mid-teens and finishes a bit of a distant third in South Carolina, is it possible to recover in time for Super Tuesday and still stay in the fray here vis-a-vis Trump in particular?
Yeah. Well, one thing I did want to comment, if I could, you talked about the new face of the party and the diversity that is reflected, particularly here in South Carolina. But we're so diverse, we even have Canadians running for president. So we really have built out.
Okay, all right, very nice.
Well,
when does your cease and desist letter come? Yes, right.
How big of a deal was it to get Governor Nikki Haley's endorsement, though? I mean, Jeb Bush had been trying for months now to get that, and he thought that he was. So yesterday, again, I said this earlier, he died a little bit inside when he found out that he wasn't being
you could
endorsed
tell,
by her.
you could tell from his reaction to it that he was disappointed, and it's understandable. I mean, she's at 81% approval rating. She's been really a rock star, not just within the Republican Party, but as a governor in the United States. But, Dan, getting back to your question, listen, the primary is on Saturday, and I think that there are going to be a couple candidates that Sunday morning go to church, and they're going to come home, and they're going to realize that God has a different path for them. And as they drop out, I believe, and we've seen in polling earlier this week from PPP, that the majority of those voters go to Marco Rubio. And, so this will shake out a little bit, and I think this will continue to help him. The challenge on Super Tuesday is a traditional campaign is going to find it very difficult to campaign in 13 different states in a meaningful way. And, you've got someone unorthodox in Donald Trump that doesn't really have to campaign in the traditional way. And so, that will create some challenges, but those are proportional and at-large distributions of delegates. And the at-large or the winner-take-all states like Florida and Ohio don't start happening until later in the month. So, Marco can continue to collect delegates and move forward. And as the race winnows and he builds his base of support, it really creates an opportunity in those winner-take-all states to turn the corner and start to put, hopefully, Donald Trump in the rearview mirror.
Well, so if what you say comes to pass, and let's say a Ben Carson and a Jeb Bush are no longer in the race after Saturday, don't you still have this prisoner's dilemma game, most specifically between Rubio and Cruz, where even if it's just Kasich still remaining, you still have this problem of one of them needing to get to 30% plus to start winning races and not just finishing competitive second, competitive third. And obviously Rubio and Cruz are going after each other a bit, and maybe it's better if both turn their sights on Trump, but they're both fighting to be in the second position, so it's them versus Trump. And so you have this kind of, as I said, prisoner's dilemma.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think those are fair points. What we're seeing here in South Carolina right now is that Trump and Cruz are spending most of their time talking about each other. So we'll see, who prevails in that. Meanwhile, Marco gets to talk about his vision and, being able to travel the state with Governor Haley right now, I think really is going to help him rise above the fray. He's tried to stay out of all of the fratricidal stuff that some of the other campaigns have been involved in. But, I think one of the things that Republican voters need to kind of sober up about and think about is at the end of the day, the number one priority of this process of getting this country back on track is beating Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders. And there is only one candidate consistently beats them in national polls, and that's Marco. And so, I mean, I would like Republican voters, regardless of the preferences between the candidates, and let's face it, from policy standpoint, there's not a lot of daylight between these candidates. They're all conservative candidates, and other than Trump kind of flipping around like a fish in a boat over the years on where he is ideologically, today he represents himself as a conservative, and so it's really difficult to say which candidate is more conservative, and I think kind of a silly exercise. Who can win? Who can beat them? Because I'll tell you, if voting for Ted Cruz and voting for Donald Trump is effectively giving the presidency to Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. And however angry people are and they see that Ted Cruz and Donald Trump channel that anger and make them feel like there's someone that hears them and is speaking for them, they're going to be a lot angrier if in January of 2017 the person taking the oath of office is Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders.
I understand.
You're talking to a Ted Cruz supporter, by the way.
Well,
that's okay.
But I like Rubio, and I agree he's a conservative, and I agree with what you said too. There's not a lot of daylight between them on most of the important issues. But just in terms of this winning a general election, I mean, you don't think Cruz or even Trump could beat a 74-year-old socialist or somebody who 60% of the American people don't trust? Really?
Well, I'll tell you, there's a lot of things that defy gravity in this election. And how Bernie Sanders is performing right now defies gravity. How Donald Trump, who has during the course of this campaign probably committed about 30 mortal sins that any other candidate would be out of the race after. It's hard for me to look at conventional wisdom anymore and say, that's your point is valid, but nothing here seems to make sense. And I've got to go by what I see in terms of the data. And how these candidates are stacking up against each other, and go look at the collection of polls that have been done when it's Bernie Sanders, and only one of them, Marco Rubio, and anyone that I've seen on Real Clear Politics, has a lead on him. And the marginal differences number-wise, but they're there.
Yeah, one poll that I saw, Jason, yesterday that I thought your camp would be very pleased is the NBC Wall Street Journal posed, Wall Street Journal, they asked about whether or not what GOP candidate you trust the most. And Marco Rubio won hands down. And I've been candidate shopping for a long time, and I've decided Marco Rubio is my guy.
Well, I love to hear that. And if you could work on Dan, we'll be making some progress.
Well, Marco Rubio did a really nice job last night at the CNN town hall. I mean, he was very personal. He was very likable. And I liked what he had to say. And he, somebody in the audience asked him about if he was ever discriminated against when he was a kid. And I loved his answer. He said, look, my parents never taught us to be victims. I never felt as if I was a victim. It was an honor to be in this country.
Well, and that's I think it embodies what we've got to convey as conservatives. What I've gotten frustrated, over the many years working in the Republican Party is this idea that all we need to do to win elections is turn out Republicans and we prevail. I want to grow the Republican Party. I want to go into communities that have not voted Republican or didn't think there was a place for the Republican Party for them, and tell them about conservatism and the opportunity that our agenda provides them. And I think Marco is the most effective person. I don't want to just win. I want to build a true majority party. And I think that Marco Rubio is the guy that can go into communities that aren't used to seeing Republicans caring about their issues. When you think about and Sanders is a good example of this. Sanders has motivated millennial voters in a very striking way. And, we saw how badly we did with millennials in 2012, and looking forward at how he's energized them. We've got to contend with them in ways we never have before. In 2008, younger voters made up 17% of the electorate, and we thought that was an anomaly because of Obama's quote-unquote specialness. Except 2 or 4 years later, they went up 2 percentage points to 19%. And so we're going to see probably 20+% of the electorate be these millennial voters. And the only candidate on the Republican side talking about issues they care about, like student loan debt and things like that, is Marco Rubio. So,
we're talking to Jason Rose, senior advisor to the Marco Rubio presidential campaign. Jason, I just want to get this, got to ask you about this before we let you go. So the back and forth between Rubio and Cruz on the matter of immigration. Cruz is up with an ad. Marco Rubio, in his own words, Marco Rubio being praised for supporting amnesty by President Obama. Marco Rubio in that Spanish interview that they argued about on Saturday night in the debate. And, and Marco Rubio's record of supporting in-state tuition for illegal immigrants when he was in the legislature in Florida. I mean, the back and forth between who's a liar and who isn't. Isn't there something to Cruz's contention that these are his positions? And if you want to explain them, if you have changed your mind, then explain how you changed your mind. But I mean, is he inaccurate about Rubio's positions on those specific issues?
Well, I think some of them are taken out of context and some of them are inaccurate. I think the allegation that he said one thing in Spanish and one thing in English is demonstrably wrong. The ad that they are running here in South Carolina where they're splicing things out of context that Marco said in certain settings and setting them up against what Obama said, are a misrepresentation. I mean, here's the reality, and I think something that Senator Rubio recognizes. Comprehensive immigration reform was, by definition, comprehensive. It dealt with border security, but it also dealt with the people that are here illegally. And I think, in retrospect, the error was trying to do it all at once. And I think Marco recognizes that. And I think, moving forward, what would he do differently is deal with the immigration or the border protection issue first. We've got to deal with the flow of immigrants into the country before we deal with the people that are here. There will be, and let me say unequivocally, zero amnesty under a Rubio administration. Zero. And, one thing that we noticed just in the last year is that there's actually been a very diminished flow of illegal immigrants coming into the country. So in some ways, partly the economy, partly enhanced border security issues, we're not seeing that same flow, but we've still got millions of people that are here illegally that we've got to deal with in one fashion or another. Ted Cruz has done nothing on this. I mean, Ted Cruz has been brilliant at saying no in the Senate, but he hasn't done anything proactively to try to deal with these issues.
All right. He is Jason Rowe, Senior Advisor to the Marco Rubio presidential campaign. Jason, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks. And he joined us on our Turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Coming up, your phone calls 312-642-5600. That's our Turnkey.pro answer line. Numbers in the weather department, it's going to be cloudy today, but it's getting warmer. A high today of 39 degrees. And tomorrow you could ditch your winter jacket and hats and boots. It's going to be very windy, a lot warmer, record-breaking high near 60 degrees. Let's get the travel times. Any records broken in the travel times? Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thankfully, no, but it's heavy. It's the peak of the morning rush, Amy. The Kennedy is now 1 hour to get from O'Hare to downtown, 32 minutes from Montrose, 26 in the Express, outbound 35 minutes from downtown to O'Hare. Eden's 25 minutes either way between Lake Hook and Montrose, the Eisenhower. An hour and 7 minutes, Thorndale to the post office, outbound 36 minutes to Stevenson. An hour and 2 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 40 minutes, crash at Pulaski in the right lane. The Ryan is 27 minutes, 95th to downtown Lakeshore Drive, all tied up southbound Lawrence to Fullerton and 18th to the Stevenson. Northbound slow from the Stevenson to Jackson. Tri-State southbound stop and go from the Adams Tollway to the O'Hare Oasis. Crash on the left shoulder. Northbound slow from the Stevenson to 31st and from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Adams Tollway stop and go. Barrington Road to 53. Veterans Memorial. The Boughton Toll to the Reagan Tollway and Army Trail to 290. I'm Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
You know how you go on that one vacation and dream about returning? Well, for me, that's the Ritz-Carlton Dove Mountain Resort in Arizona. It's located 40 miles outside Tucson, and there are direct flights from Midway and O'Hare. And Ritz-Carlton Dove Mountain, well, it's cradled by 5 mountain ranges, and there's endless outdoor activities such as tennis, horseback riding, 20 miles of world-class hiking and biking trails right outside the front door. There's a 27-hole world-class golf course designed by Jack Nicklaus. And, of course, after you play a hot round of golf, you can cool off in one of their 3 pools. There's a luxurious spa. The spa is so popular, it's rated number 3 in North America. Sunshine, 350 days a year, did I mention? So there's no shortage of things to do, whether you're looking for family adventure because there's water slides and a kids club, or you can just go there for a romantic getaway. The Ritz-Carlton Dove Mountain is the place to visit. Special rates and packages are available right now for your spring break. Visit ritzcarlton.com/Dove Mountain for all the details. That's ritzcarlton.com/Dove Mountain. I can't wait to go back. It's a trip, a vacation you will always remember.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to drill down and talk about the big ideas behind the big issues. That's where Upstream Ideas comes in. Upstream Ideas, online at upstream-ideas.com, in partnership with the Illinois Opportunity Project, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted orthodoxies. In other words, Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now to upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to spur you on to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit more free, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
And now, a moment of objectivism with your Ron Brook and the Ayn Rand Institute.
The environmental movement is often portrayed as a campaign to clean up man's environment so that we can lead healthy and happy lives. But in 1971, just a few months after the first Earth Day celebration, Ayn Rand argued that this was a facade, hiding the actual ideology behind the movement. In her talk, The Anti-Industrial Revolution, Rand lays bare the anti-human ideology that pervades environmentalism and shows that it is a movement hostile to reason, science, technology, industrialization, and laissez-faire capitalism, the cornerstones of the environment in which which individual human beings flourish. Visit ARIradio.com to listen to Ayn Rand's monumental speech, The Anti-Industrial Revolution, and learn more about the objectivist perspective on environmental issues. From the Ayn Rand Institute, I'm Yaron Brook.
This has been a moment of objectivism from the Ayn Rand Institute. To learn more, listen to the Yaron Brooks Show, Saturdays at 4 on AM 560, and visit ARIradio.com.
Why are Ayn Rand's ideas so compelling? Her worldview, her philosophy, expressed dramatically in her novels Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead, embodies the ideals stated by the Founding Fathers in the Declaration of Independence and sets forth the requirements necessary to achieve a flourishing life. She called her philosophy objectivism and said it was a philosophy for living on Earth. Today, decades after her death, objectivism continues to stir debate and inspire passion for the spirit of individualism and the enduring American dream.
If you want to work until you drop, reduce your standard of living in retirement, or lose more of your hard-earned money in the stock market, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to generate a steady, predictable income, I'm talking real wealth and financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. A free report is now available that reveals the money-making secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. It reveals how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and wealth-building power without risking your money in the Wall Street casino. To get your free special report, visit bankonyourself.com. That's bankonyourself.com.
Winter weather is here, and this season's roller coaster ride and temperatures can be especially taxing on your business's mechanical HVAC system. That's why it's important to schedule a comprehensive review of your system today with Air Comfort, Chicagoland's leading mechanical professionals. For more than 80 years, Air Comfort has maintained hundreds of businesses' HVAC systems throughout Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana. Why do they trust their mechanical systems to Air Comfort? It's simple. Because they understand that Air Comfort has the best trained and highly skilled team of award-winning technicians. That's why Air Comfort is recognized as an MSCA Star Contractor, a designation achieved by only 2% of contractors nationwide. With a large service fleet of more than 80 fully equipped vehicles, chances are that an Air Comfort technician is nearby. Schedule your system check by calling now, 708-345-1900, or online at aircomfort.com.
Congratulations to all who took the Balance of Nature New Year's Challenge. Success stories are pouring in. So many people have been helped through this incentive that I have asked Balance of Nature to continue this challenge for as long as possible.
I thoroughly love the stuff. I have rheumatoid arthritis. I've been taking vitamins and all kinds of things for it, but I've decreased taking the extra stuff that I've been taking because the veggie capsules and the fruit seem to have helped it. And I'm finding that I can walk further, and everybody is saying to me, "Oh, you're not using your cane." I said, "Nope."
Good health is only a phone call away. What are you waiting for? Don't miss your opportunity to get a free month supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
When elderly family require care, you insist on local medical professionals with specialized training in home services and nursing. Alliance Home Service is a leading family alternative to nursing home and institutional care. It's critical to ask the right questions when matching a caregiver to your loved one to maintain the most positive lifestyle for your entire family. Alliance Home Service is among a select group of Chicagoland companies providing in-home non-medical care such as hygiene, medication reminders, activities, and companionship and medical care. All caregivers have the highest level of training and expertise. You'll experience the cost efficiency of in-home care as well as the level of caring you expect from family. Call founder and registered nurse Linda Weiler at 866-227-3459 or visit alliancecaregiver.com for a no-obligation family care consultation. Alliance Home Service. Our family caring for your family. That's 866-227-3459 or alliancecaregiver.com.
Coming up, the Cruz response from South Carolina Congressman Jeff Duncan.
But here's Mike Scott.
A cloudy day ahead. WIND Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lisa Brady. Just 2 days after confirming regular commercial flights to Cuba will resume, the White House is set to announce that Air Force One will beat them to it. Fox News Radio's John Decker, live at the White House.
The trip to Cuba, set for next month, would be the culmination of 14 months of work to normalize relations between the two countries. But critics like Republican presidential candidate Jeb Bush say political persecution in Cuba remains an everyday occurrence.
Just as we legitimize the regime in Iran by negotiating this agreement, the nuclear agreement, we're doing the same by diplomatic relations. We got nothing in return.
That's Bush on the Kelly file last night. The U.S. maintains an economic embargo on Cuba that restricts most trade and travel with the communist-ruled island. Lisa?
Thanks, John. Donald Trump says Ted Cruz will say anything to get elected.
They really, they lie. And the reason I can say that nicely is that Rubio called him a liar also.
At an MSNBC town hall event last night, also downplaying a new national poll that shows Cruz taking the lead by 2% over Trump. Marco Rubio is third in that NBC Wall Street Journal poll, ahead of South Carolina's GOP primary Saturday, when Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders will be battling for delegates in Nevada Democratic caucuses. A red flag from safety officials about an apparent spike in car crash deaths in the U.S. Fox Radio's Jeff Manasso with this live.
The National Safety Council says 38,000 people were killed on U.S. roads last year, an 8% jump from the year before. That's the largest year-over-year increase in 50 years and the deadliest driving year since 2008. Research consistently shows that alcohol, speed, and distracted driving are the major causes, though the council also says that more people were driving last year because of cheaper gas prices. Oregon, Georgia, and Florida saw the biggest increases in driving deaths in 2015. Lisa.
Thanks, Jeff. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Skies are cloudy. We have 25 degrees, wind south at 6 miles an hour at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. 5 suburban teens this morning are accused of making threats on social media. Caused several students to miss class at Huntley High School. The juveniles charged with disorderly conduct. They've been petitioned over to McHenry County Juvenile Court. Governor Rauner gave no ground to Democrats during his budget address Wednesday. AM 560's David Stewart with the review of the governor's address.
Lawmakers an ultimatum demanding that they negotiate on his reform agenda or give him the knife to make spending cuts.
If you're not willing to do that, then give the executive branch the flexibility to reallocate resources and make reductions to state spending as necessary.
Senate President John Cullerton says Rauner's budget is actually out of balance, and the emergency power he wants would rob pensions and local governments.
That's what he wants to do. That's what our bill does. That's a bad idea.
House Speaker Mike Madigan says a budget deal is possible as soon as Rauner uncouples the budget from his anti-middle class reform agenda. David Stewart, Chicago.
Hillary Clinton calling for police reforms and tougher gun laws, making that announcement yesterday during a presidential rally in Chicago's mostly African-American Bronzeville neighborhood. A man in Kankakee County is dead after his ATV plunged through an ice-covered lake. Lloyd Meredith was driving on Lake Shannon in Essex Tuesday night when that vehicle went through the ice. Divers recovered his body in the ATV yesterday afternoon. The Blackhawks visit the White House today. President Obama welcomes the team to Washington, D.C., and a date has been set for when our Northern Illinois Huskies will play football against Toledo and Chicago again. Two teams face off November 9th at the home of the White Sox, U.S. Cellular Field. Chicago sports last night, the Blackhawks bested the Rangers 5-3 tonight. The Bulls take on Cleveland. The news service of Jewel-Osco. Enjoy a restaurant-quality meal at home with Jewel-Osco's P.F. Chang's Meal Deal. Get P.F. Chang's entree, appetizer, and rice side dish, all for just $9.99. That's an extra savings of $2 when you buy all three. Look for this great buy in Jewel-Osco's frozen aisles. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat. And from the Fox Business Network, a service of Turnkey.pro, here's Karen McHugh.
From the Fox Business Network, Wall Street futures higher following the rebound in the price of oil and solid data on U.S. manufacturing. Shrinking U.S. stockpiles send the price of oil higher. Benchmark crude trading at $31.37 per barrel on the New York Merc. Among today's fourth quarter earnings reports, Discovery Communications reporting a fourth quarter profit of $219 million. Walmart, meanwhile, besting Wall Street expectations. reporting fourth quarter earnings of $4.57 billion. Top officials of the European Central Bank voicing their concern about turbulent financial markets and the growing dim outlook for China and other emerging economies. And a big recall from Toyota. Owners of nearly 3 million RAV4 SUVs, including more than 1 million here in the U.S., are being informed of a potential seatbelt problem. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Karen McHugh.
8:05 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
You don't win by accident.
It's the Dave Ramsey Show.
So this is your year to win. You don't get out of debt. You don't save your marriage by accident. You don't increase the quality of your marriage by accident. You don't raise great kids accidentally. These are intentional acts that you make choices on the variables in your environment and you form and control your life.
Make the most of your money and get out of debt. He's Dave Ramsey, tonight at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
This is an announcement for all people who want to take a risk-free challenge to whiten their teeth in 5 minutes using clinically proven power swabs. This risk-free challenge is for people whose smile has been yellowed by coffee, tea, or smoking. It's so effective, we challenge you to try it for 5 minutes to see how white your smile could be. If lines are busy, try again. Dial 1-800-663-1592. That's 1-800-663-1592. 1-800-663-1592.
Uber is an app that helps you make extra money just for driving your car. And because it's totally flexible, you don't have to quit your day job to make more money, because you can drive and earn whenever you want. There are 3 simple steps to start making money. First, sign up for free on your phone. Second, answer a few questions and get approved. And third, start driving. So, what are you waiting for? Sign up today at drivewithuber.com. That's drivewithuber.com.
8:07 in our Chicago RadioDeals.com traffic center. Let's get the very latest now with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. The Edens Expressway has inbound delays from Cicero to the junction. 23 minutes, Lake Hook to Montrose, half on 26. Kennedy, an hour and 4 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. 36 minutes from Montrose, 26 in the Express. Outbound, 35 minutes from downtown to the airport, the Eisenhower. An hour and 17 minutes, Thorndale to the post office. An hour and 2 minutes from Manheim. Outbound 36 minutes to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and 6 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. 54 minutes from the Tri-State. Outbound 44 minutes to 355. Crash before Pulaski in the right lane. Ryan, 27 minutes, 95th to downtown. Lakeshore Drive, southbound stop and go Lawrence to Fullerton and 18th to the Stevenson. Northbound from the Stevenson to Jackson. Tri-State southbound the delays are from the Adams Tollway to the Irving Park Toll, where crash moved to the shoulder. Northbound from the Stevenson to 31st. Reagan Tollway much of the way to before Irving Park. Adams Tollway stop and go Barrington to 53. Reagan Tollway Farnsworth to Winfield Road. Right lane blocked to the medical emergency. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Today, rather cloudy and windy, high 39. Cloudy and windy tonight, low 37. Winds gusting past 50 miles per hour tomorrow with clouds followed by some sun. Winds locally damaging, high of 57. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
Currently cloudy and 25 at O'Hare. Next news 8:30, and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by MJ Miller & Company Jewelers, your diamond cutting experts. Visit MJ Miller at 123 West Main Street in downtown Barrington.
Good morning. Welcome to your Thursday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
The people of Illinois are sick and tired of this. They want us to work together.
San Bernardino, very important investigation to us. We still have one of those killer's phones that we have not been able to open. Right? It's been over 2 months now. We're still working on it.
Ladies and gentlemen, if we elect Marco Rubio,
every day will be a great day in America.
It's tremendously encouraging to be leading the field nationally. I think as a result.
Did you ever think you'd be here?
Look, that was always the plan. Look, that's how you win. You got to get to first place to win.
I have never done well in the Wall Street Journal poll. I think somebody at Wall Street Journal doesn't like me, but I never do well with the Wall Street Journal polls.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
What up, Dan and Amy? So we talked to a Rubio campaign advisor last hour. Now we're going to get the Cruz response from South Carolina Congressman Jeff Duncan. But before that, a programming note, Amy.
Yes?
Texas Senator and presidential candidate Ted Cruz will be the featured speaker at the Northwest Suburban Cook County Republican Lincoln Day Dinner, taking place Friday, March 11th at the Meadows Club in Rolling Meadows. For more information and to purchase tickets, visit 560theanswer.com and search the keyword Cruz.
And did you hear who's going to be the MC?
I did.
Some really smart, good-looking man named Dan Proft.
Oh, please. Thank you for reading that just as I wrote it. Tickets are going fast. Last year we had Chris Christie at this event. I emceed right. About 1,000 people. I expect we'll have as many as the room can hold, so at least that many for Senator Cruz, particularly as he crests to the lead in at least one national poll. NBC Wall Street Journal poll has Cruz. It's basically a statistical dead heat, but he's 2 percentage points ahead of Donald Trump in the poll that they released yesterday, and it's because the Wall Street Journal doesn't like Donald Trump.
Exactly, because if he's not number one, then he's the victim.
Well,
somebody doesn't like me, and they're targeting me.
And interesting, one of the arguments, Jason Rowe, the senior advisor of the Rubio campaign that we talked to just a few minutes ago, he said, Rubio is the best general election matchup against either Sanders or Hillary Clinton. That's the argument of Rubio versus Cruz.
They've been arguing that since the beginning of time. But
it's the argument for Rubio over Cruz. It's the argument for Rubio over Trump, even though they're basically, again, statistical dead heat in those matchups. But you know what? If they want to make that argument, you know who actually is performing the best versus Hillary or Bernie in the Republican field? John Kasich. So you be careful about the arguments you make, because sometimes you leave your flank open. So what about the Cruz response to the liar, liar, pants on fire accusations from both Trump and Rubio? Let's get a response from a Ted Cruz supporter. He is Congressman Jeff Duncan, Republican from South Carolina's 3rd District. Congressman Duncan, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Well, Dan and Amy, thanks for having me. Wow, it's a great time in South Carolina where the whole nation is focused on this presidential primary. And I tell you, there's a lot of activity here in South Carolina from all the camps. Ted Cruz is actually somebody whose ground game is phenomenal, and he's the one that is actually, I think, leading in the polls here in South Carolina. If you truly go with what I'm hearing on the ground.
Well, and so what you're hearing versus what the polls are telling us, which is that Trump still has a pretty comfortable double-digit lead. Now, again, big evangelical segment of the GOP electorate in South Carolina, like there was in Iowa. So is that the basis on which you think Cruz can spring a surprise on Saturday?
Absolutely. This has a very similar feel to where we were in Iowa. The polls are very similar, but the ground game and as you say, the evangelical vote, I believe, will swing Cruz's way. And that's the sense that I'm getting. And we've been to a lot of events with Cruz all week, and I've been doing some social media stuff. And it just has that similar feel to Iowa. And we see how that worked out. Ted Cruz took it going away.
Do you think that some people will jump from being Donald Trump supporters to Ted Cruz because of all these, accusations? I'm going to sue you. And then yesterday he sent him a letter to cease and desist. And that was the 6th time now that Donald Trump has threatened to sue Ted Cruz. It's getting a little old, don't you think?
It is. Hand him a box of tissues. This is a big boy campaign. This is presidential politics, and your record is going to be exposed of what you said any time during your life when it deals with political positions, and you got to be in a position to defend that. It's okay to say you've backtracked on a position based on new information, but Ted Cruz is somebody that's a consistent conservative, and he has done exactly what he told the people in Texas he would do when he was running for Senate, and I believe he will do exactly what he's telling the American people he will do when he becomes president of the United States.
And so the difference of opinion between you and some of your colleagues, you've endorsed Senator Cruz. Trey Gowdy and Tim Scott, and now Governor Nikki Haley have endorsed Rubio, for example. I assume that you're collegial with your fellow Republicans in South Carolina. So where does the difference of opinion come down in terms of Cruz versus Rubio?
Well, first off, I think a lot of it comes down to personal friendships with Tim Scott and Marco Rubio. They served together and dined together and that sort of thing. Political consultants, similarity plays into that, I'm sure. But Marco Rubio checks a lot of boxes with me, as do a lot of the other candidates that were on that debate stage. But at the end of the day, who's been with me in the foxhole fighting the political battles against Harry Reid and Obama and Pelosi, but also against sometimes members of our own party and the leadership to keep bad things from coming to the floor, or fighting Obamacare like we told the voters that we would do, defending life and not giving your dollars, your taxpayer dollars, to Planned Parenthood to harvest baby parts. Ted Cruz has been in those fights. He's been beside me. And I haven't seen some of the other candidates in those political fights. That's what I'm looking for, somebody that'll do what they tell the American people we're going to do when we're campaigning.
Congressman, why do you think Jeb Bush never got or gained any traction in South Carolina?
You know, I don't know. That's kind of an odd thing, because South Carolina is definitely George W. Bush country. He did very, very well here when he ran, especially against McCain back in 2000. He did very well in his reelection campaign here. Very popular president, but Jeb never seemed to be able to capture that, and I don't know the reasons there. I just can't put my finger on it.
Yeah, he couldn't connect with the voters for some reason.
Well, there's still a bit of Bush fatigue, perhaps too. I mean, that's what we knew going into this race, that his name was a bit of a double-edged sword.
Absolutely, and I'll throw amnesty in there. Jeb Bush has been one that supported amnesty all along, as has Marco Rubio with the Gang of Eight bill. Folks in South Carolina, at least in my congressional district, aren't very warm to giving amnesty to illegal aliens, and I think that probably played into some of the Bush negatives.
Well, and that's also seems to be the issue where there is the greatest sunlight between Rubio and Cruz is amnesty, not just the Gang of Eight bill, but also some of what Marco Rubio has said about the president's executive action on DACA, deferred action for childhood arrivals, as well as his support for in-state tuition as a member of the state legislature in Florida. And is immigration and those component parts of border security, I mean, is that an issue that's at the top of the matrix for South Carolina Republicans?
Absolutely. They see Ted Cruz as somebody that's a fighter on those issues. And there's 6 words Republicans ought to say every time they're campaigning, and that is secure the border and enforce the law. The laws are on the books to deal with the illegals that are in this country if the executive branch would just enforce the existing laws. And every American will agree with you that we need to secure our border. Now, what that looks like, we'll take different opinions, whether that's a fence, a wall, more electronic surveillance or whatnot. But every American knows that our southern border is not secured. And at the end of the day, we don't know who's coming across our border. They could be Mexicans coming to take jobs. They could be Guatemalans. Or they could be members of ISIS or Al-Qaeda wanting to come to do harm to this nation. We need a secure border.
I'm going to put you in a tough spot. Ted Cruz, from my associates, my friends have told me there's something about him that is polarizing. Can you explain that?
I can't. I don't agree 100% with Ted Cruz's positions in the past, and I can't put my finger on. But I do know this guy's a fighter. And if you ever witness, and I hope y'all do at the Lincoln Day dinner that Dan is the MC on, but if you will just witness Ted Cruz's one-on-one engagement with the people that he's involved with, when he works the room and deals with the people in the crowd, it is amazing. I've never seen anyone quite so in the moment with the person he's talking with. He gives them his undivided attention. He's a great listener. And don't we want a president of the United States that's a great listener that will listen to the American people and try to do what they want instead of what he wants? And I think Ted Cruz is that guy.
Yeah, and actually I think you saw some of what you're describing on display at the town hall, the CNN town hall last night. And, I mean, Marco Rubio and Carson performed admirably as well. But, I mean, Cruz really, the depth of Cruz when you have the opportunity to give more than 30-second answers to questions, I think really comes through. He is Congressman Jeff Duncan, Republican from South Carolina's 3rd Congressional District. Congressman Duncan, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Dan and Amy, thanks for having me. God bless you. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You've switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Can I be your driver to the Lincoln Day dinner? Because I'd like to hear what Ted Cruz has to say.
The term is valid.
Oh.
Yes, you may.
Thank you. Your forecast you're going to thank me for because it's going to be warm. Today, cloudy, a high of 40 degrees. Tomorrow, it's going to be very windy, but yet very warm, so ditch the winter coat and hats and gloves. We're going to have a high near 60 degrees. Let's get the travel times. Here's Jim Telemonte. Oh, and also your phone call's next, 312-642-5600. Jim?
Thanks, Amy. And Dan, Park Ridge got a house fire, 2 at Elmore. Traffic is getting by there. The Edens is 23 minutes from Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 26. Kennedy, about an hour from O'Hare to downtown, outbound 28 minutes. The Eisenhower is an hour and 18 minutes, Thorndale to the post office. An hour and 5 minutes from Manheim, outbound 39 minutes to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and 4 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 48 minutes. Crash before Pulaski in the right lane. Ryan, 27 minutes, 95th to downtown. Tri-State southbound gummed up from the Adams Tollway to the Irving Park Toll with a crash on the left shoulder. Northbound from the Stevenson to 31st and from the Reagan Tollway most of the way to before Irving Park. Jim Talamonte in the ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
Stand by. Dan, sing or something, please. Dan.
I just called to say I'm doing my Ted Cruz impersonation because I'm a much better singer, actually.
Yes, you are. And guess what? When you buy a new house, Dan, you don't buy the first one you see. Oh, no. You sell your house. You sell your home with the best broker you know, and that is Ed Lukasik Jr., owner of RE/MAX Professionals. Now, Ed doesn't need to offer gimmicks like promising to buy your home because he can't sell it or 24-hour listing agreements. Ed does offer the promise of hard work and an aggressive, innovative marketing plan to sell your home. Now, the most compelling reason to call RE/MAX Professionals is the best. Ed Lukasik Jr. has closed over 1,600 homes since 2008, giving him the knowledge and experience most agents can't obtain in their entire careers. Make the right choice. Choose RE/MAX Professionals to list your home. Get an in-person market analysis straight from Ed. Call him right now, 630-679-5454. That's 630-679-5454.
I think we've fully established now that you can't sing.
Hey, if you're a car enthusiast who appreciates the joy of driving a high-end performance car or never lost your passion for classic or modern muscle cars, you need to know about this Feed the Children business benefactor. With decades of experience, Comet Motorsports provides car lovers with the highest quality service and performance products available. And Comet can save you money on quality service for your pride and joy. Hey, if you own a late-model European performance or domestic muscle car, Comet can install performance tuning software to reprogram your car's computer to increase performance without sacrificing drivability. Comet is a complete tuning facility. Man, Comet even installs parts furnished by customers. If you have minor dents and dings, including hail damage, Comet can perform expert paintless dent repair to avoid bodywork and painting. Call Comet Motorsports in St. Charles at 630-584-5400 or visit CometMotorsports.com. That's Comet with a K.
Everywhere you go, the threat looms. It follows you no matter what you do. The longer you avoid the IRS and the financial difficulties you're going through, the closer they get to you. John DeWatt of Thinking Outside the Box Law Firm can help you end the feeling of being hunted by the IRS. If you've avoided taxes or could benefit from the life-saving assistance of bankruptcy, it's time you call John DeWatt. This is an attorney who is willing to take on the federal government on your behalf. He has worked to discharge thousands of dollars in penalties, and he can help you settle your debts once and for all. Call 888-777-4193. Let the hunters become the hunted. Let John DeWatt of Thinking Outside the Box Law Firm deal with the IRS personally. Call John for your own relief plan. 888-777-4193 or online at thinkingoutsidetheboxlaw.com. That's thinkingoutsidetheboxlaw.com.
Let freedom ring this afternoon at 2 with Sean Hannity, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
Dan and Amy talking South Carolina primary, a little Nevada caucus too, if you want. See if the hookers can put Hillary over the top. But it's also nice to note that President Obama, he has a hard job. He's the presidency's a hard job.
Yeah, he was letting Donald Trump know that this isn't a reality TV show.
Right.
This is a real job. And then he leaned on his lectern. He's like, it's hard. I mean, I know.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for 8 years.
I think 2 days before he was on Ellen
He was.
Because it's not a marketing job. That's what he said. And 2 days before he was on Ellen. Okay. But he has managed to squeeze in the Blackhawks. He's got time for them. Unfortunately, that is going to preclude him from making the time to attend Justice Scalia's funeral.
And did you
on
hear
Saturday.
Did you hear this? So reporters asked yesterday, well, what is he going to be doing? What is so pressing that he can't go to Scalia's funeral? And Ernst would not answer the question at all. But then somebody asked, is he going to be going golfing on Saturday? And nothing. From the White House spokesman. He just moved on. Yeah. Which means to me that he's probably going to be golfing.
It's, as we say,
It's going to be warm.
More of a reflection on the president than it is on Scalia. Let's go to Ed in LaGrange. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Oh, it's Ed. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Dan?
Ed. Yeah, you're on.
I'm sorry. I think the Bush family has greatly miscalculated their support in South Carolina. As your previous caller said, George was popular in 2000. That was pre-9/11. And he was popular in 2004. But at that time, that was Saddam Hussein came down, the weapons of mass destruction, mission accomplished. There was a patriotic surge. By 2008, when George left office, he was not that popular. The wars weren't going well. The deficit was high. And I think a lot of people in South Carolina remember that. So I agree with you. There's probably a Bush fatigue that they didn't realize was going to happen, and it's there.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Ed. Some other people didn't realize it either.
Well,
Amy.
Well, I thought maybe, Dan, before Nikki Haley decided to endorse Marco Rubio, thanks, Nikki, that he had a chance of getting the bronze. We'll see.
No, he's what's the goal or what's the medal for 6th place?
It's a participation trophy.
Yeah, exactly. That's where he's trending. Michael in Riverside, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. Hey, Obama golfing. He's a special kind of hole-in-one. We all know that.
Hi-oh.
Hey, given that town hall last night on CNN, what do you two think of Anderson Cooper's performance?
I thought he was fine.
I thought he was darling, and he kept the giggling to a minimum, so I like that.
He had on the skinny suit pants. Yeah, he was fine.
Yeah, he was fine. I thought the town halls were good.
He didn't insert himself. Yeah, he let it be about the people and about the candidates. That's what I liked about it.
Why? What did you think, Michael?
Well, I agree with Amy. I really thought, because I was watching him as much as I could as the others were talking, just to see his reaction, and I'm thinking that he's actually learning some things as he was sitting there listening to both the people in the audience and from the candidates.
Yeah, I think he cozied up to Ted Cruz and to Marco Rubio and actually to Ben Carson, too. So.
Well, it's nice. I mean, learning is fun, even for members of the media. Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it. Sean in Elmwood Park. Here we go.
Breathe.
First of all, no, I'm not gonna yell, but I want to say something about Scalia's funeral. Do you really think he would mind that this saboteur to everything he believed in isn't there? I think they should put up the Studio 54 velvet rope and not let any scumbags in. I like where this is going. Now, the other thing, Amy, I want to help you with this Marco Rubio because it bothers me, and I'm going to tell you why. Why your friends find Ted Cruz polarizing. And it's very simple. Clear-cut yes and no's are polarizing. The truth is polarizing. It's a razor's edge. You can't
unlike you, I
dilly-dally
don't
on
mind
it.
if politicians change their positions and evolve.
Okay, well, let's talk about Marco Rubio. He didn't change his position on anything. He lied during the debate. From The Hill to Breitbart to, you pick a website, the Drudge Report, to Univision's site. They have him on there translated. And his spin doctor that came on, it is nothing but a lie. Just like you know who Marco Rubio's biggest donor is? Goldman Sachs.
Goldman Sachs gave Ted Cruz a $1 million loan when he ran for Senate.
No, that's their money. That was their money.
She had her money there.
Yeah.
It was a secured
not
loan.
the same
I'm sorry.
thing.
He is married to a woman who works for Goldman Sachs.
Well, that's not the same thing.
All we have to do is read to the periods. All you have to do, it's a secured loan on assets he already had.
That's right.
Just like anybody with assets takes out. Not to mention his wife worked there. That is also very important. Her retirement fund was held there. So not only is it Goldman Sachs, it's every insurance company that is on the scam of Obamacare. Marco Rubio represents exactly what's wrong with politics, an open willingness to absolutely lie to your face. You have evidence of him speaking, and his guy comes on and says, no, it's a fraud. Now, you can go down this path of continued deceit and lie and pick the guy you like with the VO5 pompadour and the sweat coming over, because that's not the only thing fake about Mr. Potato Head. He's a stone liar, and if he gets in, it'll be as bad as any of them. I'm telling you right now, I'm voting Ted Cruz and no one else. No one else.
Thanks for the call, Sean.
Well, I hope so. No one else, because you only get one vote. So thanks, Sean.
He lives in Elmwood Park.
That's right. They can vote multiple times.
It's a little bit different out there. But truth, I mean, the truth that he's talking about, truth also, this may be a little bit of an informational briefing for Trump supporters. Truth is also an absolute defense to any claims of defamation, Donald Trump.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
You're a physician, a nurse, or in the medical field. You have a sick patient who requires a custom, non-sterile compounded medication. This is some big news. You can refer with confidence your patients to Martin Avenue Pharmacy in Naperville, the first and only compounding pharmacy in DuPage, Kane, Kendall, LaSalle, DeKalb, and Western Will County to earn the Pharmacy Compounding Accreditation Board's seal of accreditation. The first and only. Patients and medical professionals want to know their compounding pharmacy is of the highest quality and has been independently verified. PCAB offers patients and medical professionals a way to verify that their compounding pharmacy is meeting the very highest and strictest national standards. When you know the difference, it makes a difference. Martin Avenue Pharmacy in Naperville, a PCAB accredited compounding pharmacy, 630-355-6400, or go to martinavenue.com.
We make it better, like nobody else. We make it better. Martin Avenue.
Hey, do something for yourself. Treat yourself to a great night's sleep. I know many of you have been procrastinating, but don't put it off any longer. MyPillow is a premium pillow with 4 different loft levels that's customized to your individual preference. And for our listeners who use the promo code Amy, guess what? You'll get 2 pillows for the price of 1. It's MyPillow's best offer. And again, it's so important to get a great night's sleep. You wake up feeling refreshed, energized, ready to tackle your day. It helps with headaches, neck pain, insomnia, snoring, and allergies because it's washable and it keeps its shape to give you support where you need it most. That's why it's the official pillow of the National Sleep Foundation. For this 2 for the price of 1 offer, visit mypillow.com or call 800-489-0201. Use the promo code Amy. Do it now. 800-489-0201 or online at mypillow.com. Promo code Amy. Hey, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
The matter of Apple and the FBI, will have it at 8:38.
But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, good morning. Cloudy skies, 26 degrees, and the president expected to announce later today he'll be traveling to Cuba in mid-March, part of a broader trip to Latin America, the first time in nearly 9 decades a U.S. president has visited the island. Republican presidential contender Marco Rubio tearing into the president's plan to visit communist Cuba, saying he would not do the same.
Not if it's not a free Cuba. And I'll tell you the problem with the Cuban government is it's not just a communist dictatorship. It is an anti-American communist dictatorship.
That at a CNN town hall. Meantime, MSNBC will host a town hall with Democrat hopefuls Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders tonight. Turkish media reporting a Syrian national was behind the attack in Ankara that killed 28 and wounded dozens of others. A Kurdish military officer and medical attaché says ISIS militants are firing mortar shells filled with chlorine at Kurdish troops.
Okay. Mic check, mic check. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Round 2 of the CNN presidential town halls, and we fill out Amy's reality show questionnaire.
We're back at 5. Yeah. Taxamica, we're back at 5, AM 560, The Answer. Do you like that? Taxamica says thanks. Good luck. We're back. Taxamica. Yes. Swedish. You don't understand. But yet you've been to Stockholm.
I have. I bartended at a rave.
Didn't you DJ too?
No, I didn't DJ. I just bartended.
should be in there. It's in there. Okay, I don't need to know all the details.
Meal deal. Get a P.F. Chang's entree, appetizer, and rice side dish, all for just $9.99. That's an extra savings of $2 when you buy all three. Look for this great buy in Jewel Osco's frozen aisles. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher recognizes the desperation of the Hillary campaign.
Madeleine Albright has an opinion for those who don't vote for Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Just remember, there's a special place in hell for women who don't help each other.
I see. Okay. I think Democrats are a little bit desperate about Hillary Clinton.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Cornerstone National Bank believes trust, service, and relationship is the foundation of a business banking partnership. Cornerstone National Bank and Trust Company, where you belong. Visit cornerstonenb.com. Member FDIC.
Did you know just one fruit or vegetable contains tens of thousands of naturally occurring chemicals? The chemistry found in produce fights daily nuisances like allergies, sunburn, cold sores, flu, and the common cold. It works hard to prevent and even to overcome lifestyle disease, such as cancer, heart disease, diabetes, macular degeneration, and cataracts. Now ask yourself, how many servings of fruits and vegetables did I eat today? Balance of Nature provides an easy and affordable way to consume over 10 servings of 31 different whole fruits and vegetables every day. My name is Dr. Howard. I've recommended Balance of Nature for over 15 years because of the excellent results I see in my patients.
Good health is only a phone call away. What are you waiting for? Don't miss your opportunity to get a free month supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
8:36 in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center. Very latest now with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. At Northbrook, westbound Dundee is closed approaching Waukegan Road for emergency water main repairs today. Should be done by the afternoon rush. The Edens, 23 minutes from Lake Hook to Montrose and outbound 26. The Kennedy, delay starting at Nagel, 51 minutes. O'Hare to downtown. Heavier in the Express. There's a crash reported near California. Outbound, it's 28 minutes downtown to the airport. The Eisenhower, an hour and 18 minutes. Thorndale to the post office. An hour 5 from Manheim. Outbound, 39 minutes to Thorndale. Stevenson, 56 minutes. 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound, 41. Ryan is 30 minutes, 95th to downtown. Lakeshore Drive, stop and go southbound Lawrence to Fullerton and 18th to the Stevenson, northbound from the Stevenson to Jackson. Northbound Tri-State slow from the Stevenson to the Hinsdale Oasis and from the Reagan Tollway to the Eisenhower. Adams Tollway heavy Meacham to 53, Reagan Tollway from Farnsworth to 59. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte at AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. AirComfort.com, 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Cloudy and increasingly windy throughout the day. High 39, 25 right now. Next news coming up at 9. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. On AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Automated Systems Incorporated. Call 844-HIRE-ASI or visit AutomatedSYS.com.
Listen to podcasts of Joe Walsh and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Dan and Amy, so there seems to be agreement, at least among the presidential candidates, although I haven't heard Bernie Sanders weigh in on this, but the matter of Apple. And
Apple in bed with ISIS. That's the new headline.
Yeah, that's a little bit overheated. Apple ordered by a court to create something they don't have, to have them engineer a product they don't have so that the FBI can get into the iPhone that was owned by one of the San Bernardino terrorists.
Yeah, Saeed Farouk's iPhone. But I think what people are missing out and what we didn't mention yesterday, this iPhone 5 is owned by the government. It was his phone that was assigned to him when he worked for Department of Public Health.
Yeah.
So, in fact, it's a government phone. It could even be an Obama phone.
Obama! You got Obama phone? Yes, everybody in Cleveland, low minority got Obama phone.
Yes, any reason to play that bite. I get it. I totally get it.
But on a serious
it's
issue,
a
I mean,
classic.
James Comey spoke on February 9th on the Hill, warning lawmakers and telling them about this one phone that they can't break into.
San Bernardino, very important investigation to us. We still have one of those killer's phones that we have not been able to open. And it's been over 2 months now. We're still working on it.
Okay, so people's opinions. We'll take your opinions on this. 312-642-5600. Should Apple do what they've been ordered to do or challenge the judicial order handed down by a federal magistrate for them to create something they don't have? Now, just a little bit of setting the table here, because Apple issued a letter to their customers yesterday.
Yeah.
The United
You get the letter?
Yeah, the United States government has demanded that Apple take an unprecedented step which threatens the security of our customers. We oppose this order, which has implications far beyond the legal case at hand. This moment calls for public discussion, and we want our customers and people around the country to understand what's at stake. And so, on this case, this is, again, reading from the Apple letter. When the FBI has requested data that's in our possession, we have provided it. Apple complies with valid subpoenas and search warrants, as we have in the San Bernardino case. We have also made multiple Apple engineers available to advise the FBI, and we've offered our best ideas on a number of investigative options at their disposal. It goes on. We have great respect for the professionals at the FBI. We'll believe their intentions are good. Up until this point, we have done everything that is both within our power and within the law to help them. But now the U.S. government has asked us for something we simply do not have and something we consider too dangerous to create. They've asked us to build a backdoor to the iPhone.
Oh, I'm not buying it. I mean, they just need an auto erase system. Basically, you know, when you log onto your phone, you have the 4-digit passcode that you need to put in. But if you try it 10 times, it shuts everything down. They want Apple to implement a system that I not believe in it. I think that they have. I know that they have. So that they can bypass that. So they can run the 4-letter combination over and over again until they break in.
How do you know that they have?
Because they created the system. And if you create the system, I think you know how to break into the system.
The FBI wants us to make a new version of the iPhone operating system, circumventing several important security features, and install it on an iPhone recovered during their investigation. That's what Apple says. And I'm no fan of Tim Cook. I'm no fan of Apple necessarily. But that's what they're saying. I mean, I'm not a technological expert in this area.
I'm a
or a
Luddite.
technical expert. So I'm not going to presume to know what Apple does or doesn't have, or what the government is asking them to do and the implications. But Apple's saying the implications are severe, both for the security of their customers, the security not just in terms of kind of individual privacy concerns, but also concerns about exposure to hacking, including by foreign interests, the Chinese, the Russians, and so forth, hacking personal information, number one. And, of course, we've seen that happen at the federal government level. Office of Personnel Management comes to mind, 30 million records, number one. And number two, to essentially pirate their technology.
I understand.
That's a legitimate concern.
No, it is. Privacy versus security. I understand that. But in this instance, we need to get into that phone. I mean, then we'll find out if anyone else was involved and if they're planning any more attacks. It seems so simple. You know who had the best solution to this problem? Charles Krauthammer last night on Fox News with Brett Baer. He said, this is what I suggest. Take that phone to an undisclosed location. Do it underwater. I don't care. And find out, break into that phone and get the information from that phone. Then destroy the phone and destroy the system used to break into that phone.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the response to that is, although Kevin Williamson offers a pointed response in National Review Online, where he gives kudos to Tim Cook for resisting the government's demand. He writes, having failed to do its job, the federal government now seeks even more power. The power to compel Apple to write code rendering the security measures in its products useless as a reward for its failure. He goes on to say, where the federal government imagines that it gets the power to order a private firm to write software to do its incompetent minions' jobs for them is anybody's guess. Tim Cook and Apple are right to raise the corporate middle finger to this nonsense. Cook says that the software the FBI demands is too dangerous to create, given the risk that it could fall into the wrong hands. Perhaps Cook is being polite, but the fact is that the FBI is the wrong hands. Its agents have leaked secret information and live investigations to their girlfriends, engaged in various and sundry episodes of extortion and blackmail, and used federal resources to check up on their favorite strippers. Nobody got fired, of course. Nobody ever gets fired. Just some examples, the idea that just because you're law enforcement, you're somehow immune to abuse of power. I think we know that's not the case. And so this is where the tension arises.
Yeah, and here's the White House's position on this.
This iPhone that was owned by the San Bernardino Department of Public Health, but was used by one of the terrorists, that they should have access to that phone, and that Apple should disable the auto erase security feature on the phone. That's
whatever. I mean, that's, Josh Earnest doesn't know what the hell he's talking about any more than the president does. This is just that I want something, so I'm going to wave a wand and it's going to appear, and there's no consideration of these competing concerns, and that's the real
Apple
discussion.
says this is going to go all the way up to the Supreme Court.
It may very well. They're appealing the order, of course. Let's go to Alan in Rockford. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, Dan. My opinion is, of course, this is a very, very dangerous security slippery slope and a privacy slippery slope. But the comments that I'm reading for Apple to be forced to do this center around the fact that, one, Apple spends a lot of money selling your information to advertisers and other people out there to make money for their corporate model. And two, don't flatter ourselves. The government doesn't care what we're doing and aren't going to look at our phones. They're only going to look at the phones of terrorists.
And that's something you believe?
Absolutely not. But that's
he was saying it tongue in cheek. I hear the sarcasm.
Yeah,
yes.
I just wanted to establish it. Thanks for the call, Alan. Appreciate it. Jeff in Chesterton, Indiana.
Well, I this is one of the few times I agree with the Obama administration on something, but I think that Apple should give it up. It's similar to like little kids locked in a car in the sunshine, and maybe the parents not there, and they know that they could call somebody that has a key to that car, or a dealer, or somebody who has a master key, open the car and get the kid out. Well, this is something where once they get the information off the phone, they can take that software and just destroy it. And if they're afraid that once the software is written, it's going to be out there, well, then that means that there's probably hackers out there anyway that are going to eventually figure out how to unlock the phone.
So we should.
Where's Julian Assange when you need him?
So we should facilitate the hackers. By the way, it's not different than this.
No, you're not facilitating the hackers. You're facilitating finding the people that are related to the terrorist thing in California.
Yes, I know.
That's what you've got to keep your eye on. That ball.
Yeah.
This other crap, and like you says, Apple makes a lot of money selling your information already. What right do they have to do that?
Jeff, here's the question, and this is the question for everybody, and it's the question I'm contemplating. Do the ends justify the means?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and
no,
if
they
you have
don't.
nothing to hide.
No, they don't. This is the fundamental question. The ends justify the means. That is the philosophy of totalitarianism. Just be very careful. And think about that question. Answer it. If the ends are good, any means to achieve those ends is moral or legitimate. Is that really the philosophy you want your government to adopt?
What if your family member's life was in danger because of this information that's on this iPhone that we can't get because the almighty powerful Apple
Nice try,
will
Bernie
not.
Shaw.
No, they won't.
What if Kitty Dukakis was raped and murdered? Would you still oppose the death penalty? You want to play that game? The ends do not justify the means. And if you can't understand giving totalitarian power to government, as long as we say our ends are legitimate, then any means, any trampling on civil liberties and civil rights, tearing asunder people's lives, businesses, is legitimate. That's the door that you open. Do you want to open that door?
I don't know. I don't think we had homegrown terrorists back when Bernie Shaw made that comment. We're living in different times.
We didn't have. Oh, okay. So
no, we are. And this frightens me that we can't get a powerful corporation like Apple to comply with just this one phone. We're not talking about. We're just talking about this one phone. But I see what you're saying. You think it'll open the door to mass hacking?
Yeah, right. I mean, I only know from history. That's not just hacking. The philosophy that the ends justify the means is the most pernicious philosophy that exists. That is a philosophy for subjugation. And by the way, just to our caller's point, this idea that this is like somebody having a master key, no, it's not. And the difference is because, at least if you believe Apple, now if you believe they're lying, okay, whatever, but I'm going to take them at their word for the purposes of this discussion and because I don't have any information to the contrary. They've asked us to build a backdoor to the iPhone. They've asked us for something we do not have. So compelling someone to do something or create something they don't have is different than saying, you have the master key, open the door. Those are qualitatively different things. Let's go to Phil in Park City.
Yeah, the problem with this whole thing is that when you're talking about encryption, the only way for Apple to break it is to break it for all phones, to open up the master key to the encryption. So once they do that and it's out there, there's no getting that back. It's an all or nothing scenario. And to your point, Dan, that the ends justify the means, you're right. They never should. That argument is just the purview of socialists and totalitarians, as you say.
Thanks for the call, Phil. And yeah, I mean, that's essentially the Apple argument. The first part of what he said is you can't unring that bell. Mike in Lake Forest.
Dan, you just stole my thunder. You gave every reason why now Apple is protecting us. What about our incompetent government that lets these terrorists into the country? They got weapons in the garage. Maybe if we applied our immigration laws, we wouldn't even have to worry about this.
Thanks for the call, Mike.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Today, cloudy, a high of 39 degrees. Then tomorrow, a touch of spring and winter. Leave your winter coat at home. It's going to be a high of 60 degrees, but we'll have extremely windy conditions. Anything blowing out on the roadways? Here's Jim Telemonte.
Well, some of the things are calming down, actually, on the expressways and tollways, Amy. The Kennedy inbound has delays from Foster to the Burn Circle, but it's 48 minutes, so here to downtown. It's a big improvement. 32 minutes from Montrose, but 41 on the express lanes. Crash near California. Outbound 28 minutes downtown to O'Hare. Edens, 21 either way between Lake Hook and Montrose. The Eisenhower, an hour and 10 minutes. Thorndale to downtown. Outbound 33 minutes. Stevenson, 56 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 40. Ryan is 30 minutes. 95 to downtown. Lakeshore Drive, slow southbound Montrose to Fullerton, northbound from the Stevenson to Jackson. Tri-State heavy, the Reagan Tollway to the Eisenhower. Reagan Tollway, slow Farnsworth to Eola. I'm Jim Talamonte in the ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
Take a trip you'll always remember with your family or with your loved one and go to Ritz-Carlton Dove Mountain Resort in Arizona. There are direct flights from Midway and O'Hare flying to Tucson or into Phoenix, and the resort is nearby, and it's cradled by 5 mountain ranges. It sits right in the middle of the Sonoran Desert, beautiful cacti. It is just a wonderful place. 350 days a year of sunshine. Can't beat that. And at Ritz-Carlton Dove Mountain, there's endless outdoor activities. Tennis, horseback riding, 20 miles of world-class hiking and biking trails, which are right out the back door, and a 27-hole world-class golf course designed by Jack Nicklaus. And after you get hot on the course, you can cool off in one of their 3 pools, even a serenity pool. There's no shortage of things to do, whether you're looking for a family adventure, relaxation, or a romantic getaway. The Ritz-Carlton Dove Mountain is the place to visit. Special rates and packages are available for your spring break. Visit ritzcarlton.com/Dove Mountain for all the details. That's ritzcarlton.com/Dove Mountain. I can't wait to go back.
If your company needs custom metal fabrication products, then you should know AM 560 Feed the Children business benefactor Lockport Steel Fabricators. For over 7 decades, from the smallest project to major commercial construction, Lockport Steel's family of companies has excelled at manufacturing a diverse product mix, including structural steel, miscellaneous metals, aluminum extrusions, and more. Imagine the peace of mind knowing you're working with a national company that's AISC certified right here in Chicagoland. Customers know Lockport Steel focuses on getting your job done right, on time, and to exact needs and specs. Immediate turnaround service is also available. Discover why all types of major industries, including oil and gas, power generation, telecommunications, store fixtures, and commercial construction companies, trust Lockport Steel to make it happen for them. Visit lockportsteel.com or call Greg Radecki today at 815-927-4401 for a no obligation quote and consultation. Lockport Steel Fabricators, making it happen. That's lockportsteel.com.
Here's something fun and exciting. Saturday, February 27th, see the Chicago Police Department take on the Chicago FBI in the 5th annual Law Enforcement Hockey Classic in Bensonville. All of the proceeds go to Honor Flight Chicago. And right now, be caller number 10 to 312-642-5600 to win 2 tickets for the match. Again, caller number 10, 312-642-5600. Good luck.
I'm Dan Proft with an upstream idea brought to you by the Illinois Opportunity Project. 27 Illinois state employees, on average, receive total compensation 27% higher than their private sector counterparts. State employees made nearly $4,000 more in wages and $13,000 in benefits than private sector employees. More than half of state workers will retire before the age of 60 with a guaranteed state pension. The state is in a financial death spiral with ground impact imminent, so keep this in mind as Governor Bruce Rauner breaks off contract talks with AFSCME, the state's largest public sector union. AFSCME has been unwilling to give on its demands for annual step increases of 3.8%, in addition to annual general wage increases. The lowball estimate of the cost of what AFSCME demands is $1.6 billion. That's $1.6 billion more from Illinois families who already pay the highest property taxes in the nation. This is Governor Rauner's moment of truth. He ran for office saying he is not a politician. He said he is a businessman who will make the difficult decisions to turn around the state he loves. We're about to find out if that's true. For more Upstream ideas, visit upstream-ideas.com. I'm Dan Proft.
Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues now. And make sure to stay tuned to catch me, Mike Gallagher, coming up at 9, only on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, all right, we're talking about the Apple flap. I just want to get this email in from a security expert, somebody who actually knows what he's talking about from a technical perspective.
Thank you.
I certainly don't. He writes, I'm an info security specialist. There are many in the info security industry that try and break into systems specifically looking for cracks, backdoors. I would be extremely unhappy if I found out that Apple had built a backdoor into it. The reason for encryption is exactly to stop any access. I understand the security implications, but they go across all bounds. Where would you stop? NSA, corporate? It's not that Apple is not trying to. They can't. The systems are designed so they cannot be broken, one phone or not. I'm not an Apple phone either, but the AES encryption was specifically built to not be breakable. So a little bit more kind of technical information to include in the conversation as we debate the policy implications.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
A beauty day to play 18, huh, Dale? 80 degrees and not a cloud in the sky. This is the life. The forecast looks great for the next 3 days, too. Looks like we'll just schedule 3 more courses this week. Tee it up.
You've been pretty lucky that you've been able to spend some quality time in the sun. Something that you may not be so lucky with is the fact that 1 in 5 people will develop skin cancer in their lifetime. At Dermatology and Plastic Surgery Associates, they know that most people are unaware of the effects that a lifetime of sun can have on their skin. If you've been sunburned in your lifetime, it's time to have your skin checked out. Call Dermatology and Plastic Surgery Associates at 815-744-8554 or visit skinhealthpros.com. The doctors at Dermatology and Plastic Surgery Associates have your skin health covered. Skin cancer kills, so today's the day to get your skin checked. Dermatology and Plastic Surgery Associates, 815-744-8554 or visit skinhealthpros.com. Healthy skin, healthy body, healthy, happy you.
Running a business can be challenging, especially here in Illinois. You face mountains of regulations on top of mountains of taxes and fees, not to mention new Obamacare requirements.